stages involved in launching a ballistic missile. The first one is the boost stage. It starts at the point the missile is launched and ends after all the rocket fuel is burned and the missile is propelled into the exosphere. The next stage is the post-boost stage. It starts after all the fuel is burned and ends after the re-entry vehicle is ejected. Next is the intermediate course stage. It takes place after the re-entry vehicle is ejected and lasts until the missile enters the exosphere. Then comes the final stage. It starts when the re-entry vehicle enters the exosphere, and it lasts until it reaches its ultimate target on the ground. Missile defense systems use military satellites to detect rocket emissions during the initial boost stage of a missile. But this new nuclear weapon employs the railgun's ability to fire projectiles at ultra-high velocities instead of using a rocket. That's why it can't be detected by today's missile defense systems. And on top of that, the re-entry vehicle also uses stealth technology. It's so accurate that its 50% zone comes close to 50 meters. That's as good as the best ICBM.
A highly accurate, undetectable, uninterceptable nuclear weapon. We wouldn't even be able to tell where it came from.
And that's not all. A standard ballistic missile uses a 2-stage or a 3-stage solid fuel rocket for its propulsion system. Besides costing lots of money, safely maintaining the solid rocket fuel and readying the missile for launch requires a lot of work. But a railgun-launched nuclear warhead avoids all of those problems. And it's cheap, too.
It's the perfect nuke. A general's dream.
And the world's nightmare.
The perfect nuke. Chat, how are we doing? Welcome in. It's good to see you. Just give me 1 minute. Yes. Sorry about the lateness today, my sweet chatters. But it is good to see you all here. Regardless, yeah, just had a bit of a nightmare today. Can't really go into the details of it, but will definitely be more updates to follow. But long and short of it is, things are stressful. Things are stressful, but I'm here, we're doing the stream, and we are going to get some takes from the Take Factory. I'm clocking in at the Take Factory. You, my supervisors, are all here to make sure that the takes are good and the best ones. So welcome in. How are we all doing? It's good to see you. We got Ninny, we got Naptaker, who has just gone to take a shower. We got Prince. How is your leg, my friend? We also got Middle-earth Marxist. We got Catgirl Steph. And we got Vord. How are you all doing? How has your day been? What's going on? Let me, first of all, before we continue, I am just going to very quickly, excuse me, add on the new video. Yeah, that's right, chat. I did it. I made a video of the Jubilee coverage that we did. It's quite good. It's about 30 minutes long, so it's a bit longer than the ContraPoints one. Hey, Trilltacular, how are you doing? Good to see you as well. New video on the Clips channel. I was going to have a break from posting a video this week, but it's like the channel is a bit hot in the algorithm. You know, the Contra video is still picking up views. It might hit 4K. And I'm thinking, if I can ride that lightning with another pertinent video about a thing that happened recently that's still in the news, that's still a bit of social media clout that I can extract from YouTube with that, I might as well get that done. And also, I thought that the script for the new video would not be taking as long as it is. because there is I'll explain it in a hot minute. Let me just put this pinned in the chat, at the top of the chat. New video on the Clips channel. Like, comment, subscribe, and join me for the premiere tomorrow at 6. I've decided that's when we're going to do it, chat. It was extremely successful tomorrow at 6 p.m. Yeah? It was extremely successful last Thursday at 6 p.m., I should say. So, it makes sense every Thursday. And you know what? If it's not that successful tomorrow, then we'll try another day, right? But maybe that's when I should do all of my videos. Maybe even on the main channel, I should do the premieres at 6 p.m. Because that's when we did it, right? That's what we went off on the other channel. Because we were looking at that last week, right? We were looking at when was the best time. Literally, this time, like a week ago, we were trying to figure out when the best time for me to post the video would be. And it was based on the analytics of my main channel, innit? And we figured out that based on that would make the most sense. So, yeah. So, I'm even gonna make that the day for my main channel as well. It just makes sense, right? New video on the Clips channel. Like, comment, subscribe, and join me for the premiere tomorrow at 6 p.m. Yes, please go ahead and mob that video, chat. Thank you for reminding everybody, Krilltacular. Because of all the love that got before it went out, it definitely had a huge effect on it, without a shadow of a doubt. It's crazy that video performed better than a far better produced video that I put on my main channel about Elon and Trump's divorce. It's wild. My main channel with 8,000 subscribers could not get the numbers. I think that video got to like 1,500 views or something, and I was like, damn, my audience really don't want to see this. And then I post one on my new channel that had, what did it have? 100 subs last week or something? Now it's got like 220. Just popped off, 3,000 views. That's how it works, right? People kind of love this content. They love chopped up bits of streams. It's wild. I find it really hard to watch, but that's just me. I prefer to watch stuff like video essay kind of business, slower, more relaxed stuff, but I guess the way that I'm editing it and figuring stuff out, it's working, right? It's working, and there's no need to worry or change things up too much. Hold on a hot minute. I just need to check this. I like long form, but I'm pushing 40 and a little brain broken. Yeah, it's me. That's me right there. Okay. Just had some great news. I will update you more when I can, but I've just had some fantastic news. Okay. So, where was I? Addressing the chat. Support your local mule taker, chat. He does it all for you. It's true. Prince says the physical therapist says the knee is advancing very quickly. They want me doing stairs before the week is over. How do you feel about that? Do you think you could do that? Do you think that that's possible? Realistic for you? Doing good, but just breathing in that smoky prairie air since my province is on fire. Nah, you are joking. You are joking. Canada wildfires? Oh my god. Saskatchewan. This is Manitoba. Is Manitoba next to Saskatchewan? I can never remember. Yeah, they borders with having the same issue, right? Oh my god. I think it'll suck to do stairs, but I'm willing. It's all an investment in future Prince's happiness. Hell yeah. Yeah, you got this. You got this. I believe in you. Well, this story from CBC says Manitoba wildfires prompt First Nations pavilions to withdraw from folklorama. Essential that space safety and extra care to be given to those most affected. Organizers of the First Nation Pavilion decided to cancel their participation in 2025 Folklorama Festival in Winnipeg. With the province in a state of emergency once again, the focus must shift to supporting those who have been displaced by the wildfires. Buffy Handel, Executive Director of Nimu Igwa Inc., the First Nations Pavilion sponsoring organization, said in a news release on Wednesday, many evacuees are carrying the weight of trauma after being forced to leave their homes. In this moment, it's essential that space, safety, and extra care be given to those most effective. Premier of Manitoba is much better than the ones for Saskatchewan and Alberta. Sorry to hear it. I am sorry to hear it. That's like a governor, right? The premier. La première. Alberta too as well. This is fucking crazy, man. This shit is crazy. Canadian wildfires will continue to cause poor air quality across Minnesota as well. That's how far it goes. I mean, what can people expect, right? How is the smoke getting here? Smoke, dude, from a huge swath of land on fire. That's kind of how it works, right? Crazy. I'm sorry to hear it. I'm sorry that that's happening. Absolutely wild. What else do we got? Did I miss anything else? No. What have I been up to today? I have been sorting out my job application journal for my job center appointment tomorrow, which is... What time is it tomorrow? It's at some point. Oh my god, what is happening? Universal credit, okay. Oh, it's at 11:50, right, okay. I thought it was super early, but it's not. I definitely wouldn't have had time to sort it all out. Like, the way that the job center tries to get you to do stuff in the UK is essentially they're like, right, you have to apply for 5 jobs a day, 4 jobs a day. I've said to the person who is my job coach, like, that's just not realistic, man. Do you know what I mean? If you're talking about actually getting me a job, what exactly do you think firing 5 shitty applications out a day is gonna do? How do you think that's gonna work? It's just not gonna work in any way, shape, or form. And are there even that many jobs available? No, that's the thing. It's crazy. I've had to reapply for jobs that I've applied for in the past. It's just crap advice. They're not even remotely paying these people to give proper advice for stuff like finding a job. Because there is no advice, right? There is just simply no advice. The economy is fucked because capitalism is fucked, and there is possibly some kind of blacklist employer portal somewhere where, because I've had things happen, like I've just had very suspicious things happen. For those that don't know, I quit my job at Allianz. I didn't really quit my job. I went on single person strike because I realized that Allianz, the company that I was working for, when I decided to stop streaming last year and get a job and just do YouTube instead, I worked for them for about 4 months, and then I found out, due to actionists who were targeting the offices, that Allianz was actually complicit in the genocide in Gaza by ensuring Elbit Systems, the biggest weapon factory in the UK that makes weapons for Israel, particularly making the most egregious, horrific weapons that you could think of, like the quadcopter drones that mimic the sounds of women and children to lure Palestinians out and then shoot them. All this kind of horrific stuff. And I found out that they were investing in them. I found out that they were insuring them. So I sent a company-wide email and I was like, just letting everybody know, this is what the company that you work for is involved in. And we should all make a complaint to our boss because this is unacceptable. Like, we can't be doing this. We can't be letting this company do this. In an ideal world, I would have tried to have organized the staff, my colleagues, alongside with me and taken some proper union action, but it just wasn't possible due to the work from home nature of the job. Took some balls to make that stand. You should be proud. I am proud. Yeah, I am proud. You know, especially considering how much I'm clearly paying for it. Like, there are just some things that have happened that have made me think something's not quite right here. Like, I've had employers be interested and invite me for an interview, and then a couple of weeks later go, oh no, sorry, we don't need you. And it's like, hang on a minute, why would you ask me for an interview and then you decide that you don't need me or whatever? It's like, they ask you for an interview, they look at your CV, they go, oh, okay, yeah, this guy can work. Because that's all they do. You know, the only jobs I'm going for are like customer service jobs. I've gone for a couple of organizer jobs based on my past with Greater Manchester Tenants Union and the overwhelming amount of volunteering that I did with them. And I was hoping that would, you know, be a good career to go to after making a political stand like that. But those jobs are very, very competitive in terms for getting hired for them, because a lot of the time they have a living wage. A lot of the time they have you know, loads of benefits because they're run by lefties, and, you know, lefties treat their employees very well. I know. I helped write the staff handbook for Greater Manchester Tenants Union, the new staff handbook, and it had shitloads of woke stuff in there for our employees. I made sure of it. And so it's very difficult to get those jobs. I don't think that those guys are looking on blacklists and going, yeah, this guy is a problem, right? It's just wild. Like some of the situations that I've had. So I do feel like there is some kind of blacklist where employers are, or perhaps employers are being told, generally speaking, to just like not hire anyone who's politically active. It's bad across the pond too. It's just gonna be that, right? Isn't it? It's just, you know what it is? I'm thinking too much into it. It's really easy to fall into conspiracy level thinking when you're stressed and things happen to you. But when you realize it's happening everywhere, it's like, oh no, what's happening is the job market is falling apart because the empire is collapsing. That's really the reality of what's going on, isn't it? Have you seen the thing going viral about the Burger King employee? No. Also, hi Andy, and hi Sorka, how are you doing? Yes, the British job market, otherwise known as hell. I mean, I think that my job coach, I've said this before. I said it 2 weeks ago when I went to my last job interview, job coach meeting. She just seemed like she got the point. Like, you know, I've had to argue with her. I've had to say to her, look, you know, the government is asking you to do this and put pressure on me, and this is humiliating for me, and you don't get it, and yada, yada, yada. It's all right for you. Yous have got a job. Look at you there. You get to go home at night. You've got your money. You know, I've been laughed at. I've been all kinds of stuff. And it's really crap. But I think that she gets it now because, you know, I've been doing everything that I can, and I've been going in there now for like, I don't know. How long have I been going in there now? Since February. March is when I actually got the universal credit thing started. But even then, they weren't paying me my rent. Oh, it was just so bad. Thank you, Trilltacular. Yes, you're right. People should sub off Twitch and give me money. We'll wait until there's more people watching for that. I know there's a bunch of people in here who are generous and they will donate and sub and this, that, and the other. But yeah, we'll get some more heads in here, and you know, that'll be good. History books are going to call this the Invisible Depression. Yeah, you're right. At least the Great Depression government would admit that it was happening. The Empire's been gaslighting us so much about how things have been going. Yeah, it's true. Very, very true. Burger King worker had to work a whole shift alone, and the media are calling it savage work ethic. How about overworked, underpaid, and abandoned? Yeah. Because that's what the media are invested in. They're invested in people going like, yeah, you should work like a slave. You should work like you're gonna get killed if you don't work. Trill? With the 100. The 100. Holy shit. Holy fucking shit. Thank you so much for the £100. Good God. I got you, bro. Yeah, you really do, don't you? You really do. Not only... I don't think I've seen that alert before. Yeah, that's because we rarely get a donor of £100. Thank you so much. Honestly, thank you so much for supporting me. You've supported me so much. You've been so generous recently, Trill. I really appreciate that. I'm one of the lucky few with a decent job. I figure I should share the spoils. Honestly, yeah, I really appreciate that. I mean, that's solidarity, right? Do you know what I mean? It's like knowing that we're all fucking workers and that. Thank you for the follow as well. Even following makes a difference, folks. Even following makes a difference. You know, understanding. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Hell yeah.
Don't be a cop. Give Mule money.
Prince, thank you so much for the 1312. Thank you so much for subbing off Twitch. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. I really appreciate that. Chat, you know what you all get because of that, don't you? You know what the first thing that's going to happen tonight. We got the boy. There he is. He will be joining us. He will be joining us this evening. Whoa!
Sonic will never again be a pain in my egg!
Steph with the 10! Thank you so much. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. Thank you so much for looking after your boy. Oh my god, it's a hype train. Chat, it's a hype train. Holy shit. It's an unofficial hype train, you know, because people are subbing off Twitch. Let's watch some tunes. Let's watch some tunes. Let's watch a music video or some shit. This is one of my favorite tracks of the minute. I'm thinking about this tune a lot. I'm so sorry, VOD watchers, but we're gonna have to leave you at this point. Welcome back, YouTube. Not only do we got the boy cam unlocked now, he's right there, isn't he? Look at him. Literally. There he is. John Mungus. John Skungus. Right? But also, we've passed the halfway point of the dono goal. And that means that this month we are going to have a DJ stream. So that's a bonus stream that you're getting, a bonus stream, and it's going to be me spinning tunes, some of the best drum and bass that you've ever heard of in your entire life. You don't even know until you do know, which is when you'll be in the chat looking at it. Look, the boy, he's loving it, he's loving it. Look, he's fucking loving it. Isn't he? You know what I mean? What are you doing there? Yeah. Imagine. No work, no school. Just meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow. Oh my god. First time hearing this, Mule expanding my music library. Hey, check it out. There's the track. Get involved. DJing in a Mule stream, the novelty. Yeah, crazy. Crazy business. So there's the link to the track. The coup with Guillotine. That's what we were just watching YouTube. Okay, if you wanna participate, what you could do is you can pause the video on the VOD channel that you're watching, and you can watch that video. You can watch that tune and pretend that you were participating in the hype stream. You know? You heard that and he thinks you dissed him? I mean, I am dissing him. I am dissing him. He disses me every day. Duke of Blonde, how are you doing? Good to see you. Oh my goodness, hello. What is going on? Yeah, good to see you. Really good to see you. Cats are so cute. It's very true. Bourgeoisie and proletariat are just useful idiots for the cats. It's true. Epic cat battles. It's right. It's true. It's correct. Heard this song a million times. It's the first time I've ever seen the video. The video is really good. Yeah, I love the Wizard of Oz shit. Because the Wizard of Oz is basically kind of that, right? Like, that story is about a bunch of people who are like, oh, there's a really cool, rich and powerful wizard and he can solve everyone's problems, and you know, it's essentially a capitalist. Like, that's what happens at the end of the film. Like, there's just a guy and he's like pulling loads of levers, and then he like has like a bag of money. That's right? That happens in that film. I haven't seen it in years, obviously, but makes sense. It's a good little comparison. Extremely good little comparison. Where are we up to here? Been streaming for like 40 minutes. Oh, we got some more people coming into the chat. Yeah, we can hang out. We can still hang out for a couple of minutes before we get started. Half a laptop, how are you doing? Good to see you. Ingo, how are you doing as well? Yeah, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. That's right. What have you been up to? How's your day been? What's been going on? I was talking earlier about the reason that people gave me money today is because I was complaining about being on benefits. So, and unironically, this is a good thing that I'm going to be able to speak to my benefits officer tomorrow. Right? So, I'm going to be able to sit there and say to her, like, yeah, look, I applied for like 50 jobs this month, and I haven't heard from any of them, but I am doing a bit of self-employed work, and I have made some money by entertaining people, making videos for people. I'm not gonna tell them that I stream, because the last thing I want is my fucking universal credit officer like watching my stream. Can you imagine? I love this dystopia that we live in, by the way. It's so good. In the book, the Emerald City is even more bullshit. It's not even emerald, it's all white, and the wizard just makes everyone wear green tinted glasses. I didn't know that. That's pretty good. Wizard is a literal command that brought the concept of capitalism to Oz. There you go, yeah. It's been good. I think the last time I spoke to you, I lost my therapist for being a Zio. I got a new one for 4 months, and she's been great. Great to hear it. Yo, that's great. That's fucking great. Good for you, Duke of Blonde. Yeah, you're suffering as well, Rylesy. Listen, solidarity, you know, it is really shit out there. And, you know, if there's one thing we do not do in this community, it is shame anyone for being on benefits. I couldn't imagine anything more inhuman. Baum was pretty yikes on indigenous issues, but overwhelmingly centered female character. Is that the person who wrote the Oz stuff? I didn't know anything about that guy. Not a clue. Hopefully he's dead. Is he dead? You used the term was, and the Oz books were written like a century ago or some crap, so seems good. Chilling built a bed yesterday, was hoping the old frame could be given away, but the wood is rotted out, it turns out, and it fell apart. Hey, hopefully sleeping is a lot better for you now then. Because I don't know how much of the streams you've been listening to, Half a Laptop, but basically I like solved my health issues essentially because I sorted out my bed that had like a bunch of dust all on it. I'm basically really good at cleaning, laundry, dishes, showering, eating fairly healthily, right? All that stuff. Hoovering, even hoovering. But I'm terrible at dusting. Just absolutely terrible at dusting. And I didn't dust for like a long time. Especially in places where I didn't notice it. Like behind my bed and underneath my bed. And got rid of all of it. Sorting my fucking life out. Have an old injury and all my family went, dude, you gotta get a better bed. There you go. There you go. Me too. Yeah, it's tough, right? Because you think that dust is just like a funny little thing that occurs and there's nothing you could do about it. I mean, that's kind of true. There's nothing you could do about dust existing. It's just about, innit? It is hard to dust. Thanks for enabling me. Nah, I'm never letting it get that bad again. I am never letting it get that bad again. Air purifiers help to keep the dust down. Right, well, you know, I'll put that on the list of things to do, and I'm sure it will get done at some point in 10 years or something. Dust regenerates far too quickly. It's fucking, yeah, it does. It's crazy, right? Because if things get super dusty and you dust everything, it's like I'm looking at this room. I dusted this room like 2 weeks ago when it was like covered in dust, like absolutely caked in dust everywhere, yeah? Change your air purifier filters. I know you haven't. Well, I don't have one. You might be referring to people in the chat, but anyway, pollen screens for the windows. Really, pollen? You know what? Oh, you're right. There's probably some element of that as well, isn't there? Anyway, this room that I fully dusted a couple of weeks ago, it's just like, it's getting pure dusty again. It's so crap. But, you know, I'm doing really well. Like, I had a bit of a crap night's sleep last night, and I had a headache, and I was like, oh no, am I gonna... Because I was tired yesterday, that's why I didn't stream, and I was thinking, shit, am I gonna... is it back? Am I fucked again? Am I gonna be fatigued for the rest of my life? Always shitting myself, but then I got better as the day went on. And I was like, oh, this is just a tiredness headache. This is just because I had a crap night's sleep. And obviously I'm live now and I feel completely fine. But yeah, nah, madness. I've been working so hard after, I guess... I don't even know when I started streaming properly again. Let me check. I wonder if there's a way to figure that out on the VOD channel. Nah, I'm not gonna know, am I? Do you know what? You know a way to find out? It will be on... Here we go. So I started streaming properly again 2 months ago. It was 2 months ago. I can't even remember why I was trying to figure that out. Why was I trying to figure that out, chat? I was trying to be like... What was I getting at? For 2 months, I've been working properly like a normal person. Right, so before the 2 months, I was just unemployed and I wasn't really doing anything. And I was just kind of like sat there like... not working like a regular schedule or anything. I mean, I didn't have a job for sure, and I wasn't streaming either. And now I'm back, and I have my energy back, and I'm working at a normal pace, at a normal schedule. A pretty decent schedule, to be honest. Like, I work 4 days a week, essentially. Well, it's technically 5 days with Red Planet, but Red Planet is very easy. You know, I sit there for an hour, do my news pieces, and then sit there for an hour or two and chat with my friends, my commie friends, about organizing and the way that the world is going and shit like that, right? So, it's not really a full day. It's like a half day. I do 4.5 days, essentially. And that is working very, very well. And I guess, like, yesterday, it kind of just all got on top of me. I was like, fuck, I've been working so hard recently, and I've just, like, not noticed. I just kind of, like, went, as soon as I started getting healthy again, I just went straight back into it. Straight back into doing like a full-on kind of schedule, like writing stuff. I did like bonus content for the Patreon. I've been doing the Instagram slides. I've been doing writing on my Patreon. I've been doing the movie review. I've been writing my new video, which is an old script, but it's new. It's got some work to do. That's another thing. That's another thing I was going to say. I was freaking out because I ended up looking at the script, the Bastard Landlord Influencers 2 script. I ended up looking at it the other day, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, I've been through like 7 pages. Yeah, pedal to the floor, and then I was like, fuck, where's all my gas gone? Yeah, exactly. Momentum counts for a lot. Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. And I got through 7 pages of the script, and I was like, oh, this is great. It's pretty much done. I can pretty much just record this tomorrow, and it will be dead easy. But then I got to a point where basically the sad news about this video is that, I guess I can say it here because it's not going to jinx anything. It's not happening, so it doesn't matter. Do people know who Nick Bano is? He came on Red Planet. We spoke to him on Red Planet. He's an author and he's a communist barrister, and he specializes in housing. And I met him, and that's why we got him on Red Planet. And I asked him, I said, Nick, I'm doing a new video. It's called Bastard Landlord Influencers. It's about a guy, and he has reacted to videos that you've been in, and he's reacted to articles that you've been mentioned in or you've spoken in, and he's not your number one fan. And I said, do you want to come on the video and react to these videos with me, and we can provide a commentary? And he was like, yeah, definitely. He was dead up for it. And then a couple of months ago, he stopped responding to me, and I was like, shit, what have I done? Have I upset him? Has he heard stuff on the internet that I'm an abuse apologist or something? And he just messaged me, and he was like, hi, so sorry, I've been super, super busy. I can't do this. So I can't really commit to like doing it at any point. And I was like, okay, fair enough. That's all right. So unfortunately, Nick Bano is not going to come on. And there was basically a whole bit of the script, which was just going to be me. It literally just says in the script, riff over these 2 videos with Nick and edit it. And I was like, oh. So I've basically got to write bits for these 2 videos that I was supposed to react to with Nick. But yeah. So that's what I got to do. No, it's not animosity whatsoever. Nick is a wonderful man. He's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful man. Very, very, very nice. But he's just like a ruthless Marxist housing lawyer. And he's written a book called Abolish Landlords. Could chat help with reacting for the script? It's okay. I appreciate the offer. It's going to be easy. It's going to be so easy. It just means that I was thinking it was going to be... I think what happened yesterday is I was like, I got my job center appointment on Thursday. I got to write down all the jobs that I've applied for this month. I've got to go through all the emails and all the Indeed things, and just like a nightmare. And this unprecedented thing came out of the script, like reading the script and going, oh no, I've got to do that. So it like things that I had to do were building up in my head, and it was like the week seemed really easy at the start of the week, and then it was like, nah, it's not going to be that easy. The powers of chat remain chained. Yeah, it's true. I guess an alternative segment would just be like, do a Socratic dialogue reaction segment where you do different talking heads wearing different hats. Well, I mean, I don't need to do that, do I? Because it's just like, I could just react to it on my own and just be like, yeah, this guy is crap, yada, yada, yada. You know? Hey, Augspecker, how you doing? Welcome in. Good to see you. Everyone's here. Everyone's fucking here. Hey, did I miss someone in the chat? I've just remembered. I saw someone in the chat. Alejandro. Sorry I missed you. I'm sorry I missed you. You're in the chat. Hello. It's good to see you. Whoa, whoa, whoa! What's going on now? Kairos Rev, welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Now, I know your name, and I know that you're a streamer. I don't think I've ever caught any of your streams, so I do apologize about that. But welcome in, and I know that you definitely deserve a shout out because you're based. So please go and follow Kairos, everyone. How are you? How was your stream? What were you up to? Welcome in. And we got Hey Hachiro as well. Welcome in. I was literally just saying, oh my god, everyone is coming into the stream and I'm like missing people in the chat. PM Triox, hey. How you doing? Welcome in. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. How was your stream? What were you doing? What were you talking about? What were you covering? If you don't know me, and you just join in through Kairos' raid, my name is djmuel. I'm a leftist political streamer based in the UK. I've got a history of activism and organising. I used to be the chair of the local tenants union, Greater Manchester Tenants Union. I've also done member solidarity with them for about 3 years, doing eviction resistances, helping people with disputes with their landlords. Also an anti-fascist, will go to anti-fascist counter-protests of fascist organising and shit like that. I've done all kinds of business, done all kinds of organising. I've done anti-raid stuff, but mainly at the moment I'm doing political commentary. I'm having kind of like a summer off organising, and if streaming goes well, maybe I won't like organise anymore. Maybe I'll just tell people to organise, and I could just be like a member of the organisations that I'm a member of, and I can go to meetings and participate in my branch and stuff, but I won't be actively involved in running the stuff, you know, because it is very stressful, but it's well worth it, and I would recommend it entirely. But that's me. I do all kinds of stuff. You know, I'm going to be covering the news in a bit. We're going to be covering a bit of landlord brain rot. We're going to be having a look at some UK news. We're going to be looking at the Palestine updates. Yeah, that's it essentially. So welcome in. Appreciate you stopping by. And Kairos, if you got to shoot off and look after yourself, I know what it's like after stream. Don't worry. Cool if you want to stick around or whatever. No, it wasn't Acorn, Rilesy. No, it was Greater Manchester Tenants Union. It's a grassroots tenants union based in Manchester. Obviously, Acorn does operate in Manchester as well. But there's just a bit of different organising styles. Acorn is like a national union, you know? And we kind of have a bit more of a focus on community organising in Greater Manchester, so yeah. Live streams can be a modern version of a magazine in terms of spreading revolutionary information. I mean, like I said, it's my purpose in streaming to, you know, we're all providing a bunch of stuff, a bunch of content for us to laugh at, to critique, to analyse, yada yada. But also, I'm always going to be like, this is why you need to not rely on voting and electoral politics. You need to build momentum, and organising. Dual power structures are very important. All that kind of stuff. You know? That's the kind of stuff that we talk about here. All good. We watch videos about based African Brazilian communities, commie, runaway, and slave people killing colonizers and freeing their people. Damn, I would never celebrate anyone killing anyone because it's bad and wrong and against terms of service. But what can they expect? What can slavers expect? What can they expect? It will happen, won't it? If you colonize and enslave a people, you will just get murked. And it's funny. I think it's funny that it happens. I think I'm allowed to say that. I don't agree with it, and it's bad, but it is funny. So, it's the 1700s exactly. So you know, you don't even have to. Does TOS apply for things that happened hundreds of years ago? Anyway, sounds great. Something Franz Fanon. I just left Manchester. My former housemates did some actions with Acorn. Yeah, Acorn are pretty good. I've got my personal critiques that are not the views of Greater Manchester Tenants Union. As I say, I'm not organising. I was the chair, but I'm not anymore. Resigned back in April. So, you know, I don't represent Greater Manchester Tenants Union. And even when I was chair, we didn't have a political line on Acorn, but I do have criticisms of Acorn and how they organize. It's a little bizarre to me that they try and get people to recruit people, and if they don't recruit people, then they won't support you. it just seems like a little, I don't know. I do think I understand the purpose of it. I think that we're trying to get more people to be activists, right? And we're trying to get more people to be involved in their community and their organizing. So by recruiting other people and getting them to be involved, that makes sense. But, you know, with the threat of no support coming over the top of that is a little, in my opinion, I think it's ill-informed. And I don't think that is gonna, you know... I don't think that works for building a solid organization, and I think that's why a lot of people leave Acorn, you know. But you know, who's listening to me? Is Nick Ballard going to be listening to my live stream? Maybe one day. That would be hilarious. Could you imagine that if I debated Nick Ballard? That's the only kind of person that I would debate, right? If another leftist came on and was like, we organize like this, I would be like, nah, I think that's bad, and you should organize like this. I think those are the only debates that are worth anything, right? Because we spoke about on Monday the Jubilee debate and how it's pointless to debate fascists. You are essentially saying, oh, their ideas are worth debating, and so we should sit down and debate these fascists, right? Which is just insane. It only ever serves the fascists. But if there was left-wingers sort of discussing how to organize, good organizing techniques, unless one of them is a secret fascist, a secret Hitler, then, you know, that's bad, innit? We had our own house problems. They were finicky when we tried to seek help, to be honest. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear it. Yeah, I mean, we always used to... The problem with GMTU is that we would always give people advice, and because we were quite well known and are still quite well known as being people who will just give people advice, you know, no matter whether they're involved or whatever. I think it would be it was a little bit hard at some points. We used to get inundated with requests for help and stuff. It makes Acorn sound like a low-key pyramid scheme. Yeah, I mean, look, I have heard the Acorn take umbrage with accusations of that kind of a thing. So, no comment. But I can understand why you'd think that. Just because I know that being the chair of GMTU meant that some people in Acorn are aware of me, and probably still aware of me. So I don't want to say anything about that particularly, but I think it's fine what I said. I think it's okay to just criticize their model, which is absolutely their model. It's provably their model. Like, I'm not making anything up. It's such a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a horrible atrocity. If I don't, the children I've wronged will hold a grudge and possibly kick my shins one day. Oh, you're on about what we were talking before. What we were talking about before. Yeah. Sorry, I was like, wait, what? If you did do that and didn't call him Nick Bellend to his face, it wouldn't be worth it. Oh, he wouldn't like that, would he? He wouldn't appreciate that. I've ended up getting a tetanus shot from work. Good to see you. Wait, what happened, Johnny? Have you not had a tetanus vaccination? Do you not get tetanus vaccinations? Have they stopped doing that? You're as old as me. You're like a couple of years younger than me, right? When did they stop doing that? Tends to get a booster if you have an incident. Is that true? What constitutes as an incident? Like, if you like cut yourself on a, when should I feel like I should have maybe had some tetanus boosters. I feel like I might be step on a nail. Oh yeah, I definitely should have had one. Yeah, I probably definitely should have had one. If you're in the dirt? What do you mean if you're in the dirt? I'm always getting mucky. And they were getting a wooden splinter off my fucked up back counter and it's infected. So, if you get a splinter and it gets infected, you should just have one. If you get caught on like a rusty street thing or bitten. Bitten by what? Is that not rabies if you get bitten? I haven't been bitten by anyone or anything. Not non-consensually anyway. And I'm sure if it's consensual, it's fine. If the disease all goes away when you agree to it. Well, I'm learning why I am the way I am. Tetanus lives in the dirt. So if I've been gardening and I cut myself, I should probably have a tetanus shot. Fillings is the logic with the bites. Oh, of course. Yeah, fucking hell. I've only ever had them like non-metal fillings. What do they call that? What's that stuff? You know, like the white stuff? What is that? Anyway. Listen, chat, you can really help me out, and it would be cool if you could, and you don't have to give me any money. Here's the way you can do it for free, and it will absolutely help me out, without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah? I have a couple of YouTube channels, and I am going to be putting a video out on my Twitch Clips channel. And that is coming out tomorrow. Yeah? Teeth goo. Yeah, that's what it is, innit? So there is a video coming out tomorrow. It's about the Jubilee Mehdi Hassan 20 fascist debate. Talking about how it only serves fascists. As we were talking about just then. What you can do to help me and support me for free, no money involved, no money down, yeah, is you could go to the link at the top of the Twitch chat, or if you can't see it at the top of the Twitch chat because you're on your phone or whatever, boom, there you go. Head over to that link, and what you can do is you can like the video, yeah, and you can give me a comment saying something like, another video premiere? Hell yeah, exactly. And another, oh my god, a new mule video? Brilliant. Because you know what? You know what that is? That's algorithm manipulation. And that's how you help me boost this new channel, which has only got 220 subscribers, because I only launched it like a month ago or something. It's like a month and a half ago, yeah? And what that means is it will attract more people to the stream, because they'll be like, this stream looks really fun. And then they'll come here into the chat, and we'll have a bigger community, won't we? And it'll be more fun and funny, because we'll have a variety of different people. You know, variety's the spice of life, innit? Can you imagine? Did you say it only has 28 subs? No, 220. Not 28, soz. 220. So it's great. 220 is fantastic, by the way. Literally 120 just from the fucking ContraPoints video from last week. Mental. But that's what happens when your video has a name in it, you know? The algorithm loves that shit, and it's unfortunate, you know. This is the happy medium. I was saying about this on Monday. This is like the happy medium where I'm at in making content to get more views, which is, yes, I will watch Mehdi Hassan debate 20 fascists on Jubilee and make a bit of content out of that and make it as leftist and communist as humanly possible. Right? That's the limit of where I go with, like, quote-unquote drama content. It's not really drama content, is it? You know what I mean? It is using names in videos like Jubilee and Mehdi Hassan, and I guess if you, like, another word that is going to be searched there is fascists, right? Because this guy was literally a fascist. Well, not even just this guy. Everyone in that room was a fascist. Congrats on the growth. Hey, listen, couldn't have done it without you, chat. Could not have done it without you, and that's what I'm saying. If you go to this link, if you like the stream, if you comment, ahead of time, if you join me for the premiere tomorrow at 6 p.m, it will boost this in the algorithm. We'll grow the stream, we'll grow the channel. It'll be very, very good. So you can help me with all that kind of business, and that'll be very, very good. That's it, basically. We are done with the start of the stream, and it's now time to get on to the main content where I'm going to be covering the news. So, first up, we're going to check out some Palestine updates. Hence why they were less forgettable than most right-wingers tend to be. Yeah. Mental. Thank you for liking and commenting, by the way. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's time to lock in, chat. Hold up a hot minute. Wait a minute. Anyone know what I was doing just then? Not a trick question. Could people tell what was happening just then? That was embarrassing for me, by the way. It was just an embarrassing thing. Let's find out which part of the news we're going to start with. I didn't see anything. I was trying to sneeze. I thought I was going to sneeze. And I couldn't. That was the embarrassing thing, basically. What do we got here? I just got like a bunch of stuff, so I guess we're just gonna go through this as it goes. Mule has never done anything wrong on stream ever. Yeah, it's true. You're right about that. I guess I'll put that to the end because that's kind of leading into the UK news. Right. Hey, Dirty Bird Distiller, long time no see. Do you still do Red Planet over on the tube? Yeah, we do. We actually do it on Twitch as well. By the way. So, don't ever forget. We got twitch.tv/Red Planet Live. We also got the Patreon. And we also got the YouTube channel. So you can watch it wherever you like. We were not promoting the Twitch for a bit because we heard that it was illegal to call someone a Zionist on Twitch, but people are getting away with it, so it seems to be fine because we were saying Zionist a lot on Red Planet and like on my stream as well, you know, and we thought, we are gonna get banned. So we weren't promoting the Twitch for a time. We were like, oh yeah, we're just doing this shit on YouTube. Don't worry about it. But you could get us on Twitch still. We're still on there. Anyway. Where are we up to with Gaza, Palestine, the kind of things that are going on? Of course, every day there are still massacres going on in Gaza. People queuing up for aid, getting shot at by the Zionist fascist militias and the occupying army. And of course, as most people are probably aware, Palestine is in a stage 5 of starvation, and it is 1/5 of the population have not eaten in 7 days. And I will not be showing this content on stream, but believe me, it exists. It's out there. It's real. I've seen at least one man film himself dying of starvation. This is a real thing. And obviously there have been countless babies, countless children dying of starvation. There are journalists talking about how they've not eaten in days, in weeks. They're finding it so hard. I saw a Telegram message from someone in Gaza saying how he is struggling with the devil who keeps whispering at him to tell him to kill his daughter because it means that she won't be in pain anymore. And we are living through the Holocaust of our time. And the way in which the Western imperial nations like the UK and the USA are turning inwards their colonialist imperial daggers is indicative of things falling apart. And when I say things, I mean the empire, I mean the colonial project. People know that they cannot get away with doing this for much longer. Zionism it has been continuing to be weaker and weaker and weaker in terms of the ideology. It is overwhelmingly known to be a hateful fascist ideology by the majority of people in the world at this point. It is the weakest it has ever been in terms of popular public support. Of course, it has state support still, and the state is tightening its grip on people who dare to call it out. However, the state is also trying to save its skin by doing some pretty meaningless actions. We saw the UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy putting sanctions on Bezalel Smotrich and Itamar Ben-Gvir. Meaningless. You got these two Israeli settlers who are... Why? When are they ever going to come to the UK? When are they ever going to have a UK bank account? They're settlers. They're living in Israel. What are you talking about? They're living in occupied Palestine. And that is where we're at. And then you have amazing, wonderful humans who are doing incredibly dangerous actions. If we remember what happened on the Madeleine, we are likely to see some other stuff like this happen. When I say some other stuff like this, I mean drones spraying the boat with a marking fluid, a chemical marking fluid, which may or may not be the chemical marking fluid that people said that it was. It could have easily been a chemical weapon. It's likely that the IOF is going to get detained. The IOF is going to detain Christian Smalls and all the other people on the Handala. They have said that they're going to do a hunger strike if that happens, because of course the IOF greeted Greta Thunberg when she was detained and arrested and put into a Zionist dungeon. They greeted her with a sandwich and they were like, yo, here's that butty. You know what I mean? And it's all just a show. It's all just a complete show. So it doesn't matter what food will be given to Christian Smalls and other activists on the Handala. Smalls is a hero, from being a union organizer to doing the damn thing and going on that boat. Yeah, real hero shit. Real hero shit. IOF is even forcing the Western journalists to starve to death, not even trying to hide their active crimes. Yeah. And 7 days is enough to kill someone if one isn't even drinking something, if I remember correctly. I reckon you're probably right. I think you're probably right. And even if you haven't eaten for as little as 2 days, if you receive an injury, if you're shot, this is something that is coming out of doctors in Gaza. They are reporting that people are not bleeding. And that is because when you are starving, your blood platelets function in a different way in order to conserve energy so that you don't die. So the wounds that would normally be being flushed with blood to clot it, to make sure that it's not infected, to do the body's work, to make sure it doesn't get infected or whatever, stops. Doesn't happen. We are seeing some of the worst crimes against humanity of all time. Let's have a read of this. Amazon labor union leader Chris Smalls is on the Handala, the 37th ship to challenge Israel's illegal siege on Gaza. Amazon has invested billions in intelligence like the Nimbus project used for surveillance and targeting of Palestinians. Chris shares that an injury to one is an injury to all. Standard classic union phrase there. Calling on labor unions worldwide to fulfill their responsibility to be the shield for the working class, which includes protecting Palestinian people, and urges unions to stop their shipments of arms to Israel, fueling their genocide in Gaza. We come with baby food, toys, medicine, and hope, not just for Gaza, but for the children of our children. Sorry, the future of our children in America back at home. The world is watching. So yeah, incredibly based. The brutality of the Imperial project isn't strictly anything new, but it's wild how well documented it is now. The Empire will fall, but it's wild to see the excesses that they will go to in order to stay in power. Yeah. The reality of the way that people are running the world at the moment, people like Donald Trump, people like Keir Starmer, people like Emmanuel Macron. And Macron is a little questionable. I'm not entirely certain what's going to go on with France. France seems like it's having a bigger shift towards socialism at the moment, and I don't think that's because of Macron. I think that's popular public pressure. I think that's the Nouveau Front Populaire, which the coalition, it won the election last year, but was blocked from taking power by Emmanuel Macron. But there are presidential elections happening soon, so whether Macron chooses to hang on to power or not, we will see. Who knows? Not sure. In any case, it appears that the people who are trying to hold on to power in the world are desperately trying to extract as much value as they possibly can. As they possibly can from the countries that they're in charge of before they go. I wouldn't underestimate spite against Macron. They are the French after all, and he does suck that much. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm not underestimating it, you know? It will be interesting to see what happens during these presidential elections, and if there is even a candidate that is sympathetic to Nouveau Front Populaire. I mean, it would make sense, right? Because, like you say, they are the French, and I think it would be pretty stupid to block another opportunity for the French to get what they want without having to get the guillotine out, you know? Anyway, I just think that would be a stupid move for a leader that is, by the way, losing so much power on a global scale. France has been kicked out of pretty much every North African nation that it was in. Senegal, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, all these places have rejected the French army. There may be some colonial economic ties going on in those countries, but who knows? Anyway, we're kind of getting a little bit distracted here. But anyway, let's listen to what Smalls has to say in this clip.
Some of the largest unions coming from the U.S. labor leaders have been complicit, if not more than that, participate by continuing to ship arms to Israel or haven't passed any resolutions. Amazon in particular has invested $7.2 billion into the Nimbus project, which is directly intelligence that is used to surveil and target innocent civilians of Palestine. So they are not more than complicit, they are actively participating. People have to understand that unions have a responsibility to protect, to be the shield for the working class, and that doesn't exclude the Palestinian people. I want to explain to people, an injury to one is an injury to all. The people of Palestine are involved in trade unions. I've been blessed to meet many of the trade unionists. I've been blessed to have been in conversations in company with some of the presidents of these trade unions. Palestine is absolutely a trade union country. And so as a fellow brother of the trade union movement, there's no way that I can sit back on the sidelines and continue to watch this massacre take place every day. I hope to inspire more labor leaders around the world. I'm hoping that unions are watching right now. They're taking note, taking heed to take more of an initiative to pass resolutions to stop shipping arms to Israel. And what folks need to know, especially American citizens, tax dollars, billions of dollars being poured into this genocide. We have a responsibility to apply pressure to the U.S. government that includes the Trump administration. Now, we do not want our tax dollars going towards this genocide. Israel needs to be held accountable, and we do not want our tax dollars going towards this illegal siege. This siege has been taking place for over 17 years. This is actually ship number 37 as a flotilla to challenge Israel's illegal siege. It needs to end right now. We are doing something that is very necessary in these times that we live in. Israel has no jurisdiction in international waters. What we're doing is completely legal. We come in peace with baby food, baby diapers, medical supplies, toys for kids, and most importantly, feeding people the hope. For me, as a father of three, as a trade unionist, as an American, I know the importance of beating the moment. I've done that in the past, taking on Amazon, one of the richest corporations.
Gotta be the most dripped out guy to be on a freedom flotilla of all time. I just can't get over the fit that he was in that moment.
On Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, and people told
Legend.
me back then that was impossible to do, and we proved them wrong. We're hoping with this mission, with the Handala, that we once again be able to prove people wrong. Not only for the freedom and the liberties of the people of Gaza, but for the future of our generation, especially our children in America back at home. To my Palestinian brothers and sisters in Gaza, I've seen many of you reach out, and I spoke to one brother today that's waiting at the Gaza seaport. He said he's waiting for us, and my response is that we're on the way. So don't give up hope. The world is watching. World stands with Palestine. There's more of us than there is of them, and love always overpowers the hate every time.
There's more of us than there are of them. We're witnessing some big history here, folks. Some huge history. Huge, huge, huge. People will be talking about this for millennia. Millennia. When the rich tell you it's not possible, they mean, I don't want it to happen. Absolutely. Absolutely. The French are basically the second wing of Western imperialism, but if there's a way out, it makes sense for them to try and disassociate themselves from the whole thing, given the way things are going right now. They're very familiar with how easy it is for a status quo to change. Here in the UK, we're still enamored with the strength of the empire, because we never really witnessed it outright fall. Just stagnate. Yep. Macron doesn't want to end up guillotined. Starmer doesn't seem to recognize it's a possible risk. Right, this is the thing. Yeah, I think you're spot on there. I think that it's, we're going to go on to a bit of this later. We're going to talk about a bit of this later, but generally speaking, the French police are more smashy with batons and tear gas and grenades, acoustic grenades, all this stuff. If you've ever watched any of the footage from the ZAD, and Red Planet is going to be coming out with our documentary on the ZAD very, very soon, the French police are a lot more physically violent, but they know when to stop and they know when to give up. And the UK police have never really had to deal with that because the people in the UK are fairly servile. I think neoliberalism hit us pretty hard in the UK, and we have a bit of a different... There's a difference in France and the UK in terms of the way that the economy is kind of... it's kind of evolving in a similar way. But I feel like things, when you go to France, it's like things feel very, very different than they do in the UK. And I don't know, there's just like a completely different vibe, And of course, I'm not saying that the state doesn't have any power in France. Of course it does. And it is very, very brutal and it's very, very horrific. Desensitized like the Americans. You mean in France they are? Or in the UK? I feel like in France they kind of are. In the UK, it's difficult. It's hard. Most people in the UK, I think drinking culture in the UK is really the kicker. And I know that sounds like a really bizarre analysis to have, but I genuinely think that alcohol is the biggest thing that placates the masses in the UK. Unions never got crushed in France in the same way they were everywhere else in the imperial court. Right, that's the thing. And in the UK, there are all these salves, there are all these pressure valves that are often like, there you go. The government will give you like a thing. It's not really the government, it's more like private companies, happy hour on a Friday is just like an insane phenomena to witness. And even activists are vulnerable to this in the UK as well. Like extremely vulnerable. And of course the underclass that exists in the UK, where if you are white, cisgender, heterosexual, a guy, you will have obviously so many... I mean, this exists everywhere, I know it does. It's a bit stupid sort of referring to that in relation to France and the US, because of course it exists there as well. I don't know. There's something that's just different. The British working class were beaten into submission during the World Wars, and we're going to be shaking off... We're going to be shaking off that, like, domestication for some years. Yeah, I think so. There has been militant trade unionism in the UK But of course, as people are referring to, Thatcher, absolutely, the state just brutalized the miners in the miners' strikes in the 80s. Orgreave is still looking for justice, you know? There's still a campaign for the people who died in the Orgreave miners' strike. What positive momentum we could build was quashed in the Thatcher era, yeah. And the British state, that's what I was going to say. The British state police are more into infiltration. And we have a very, very, very latent cop-brained society in the UK. You will find this a lot. People are snitches. In the UK, people love to say, don't be a snitch, don't be a grass. Grasses get their asses kicked. Snitches get stitches, all this kind of business. But it's not true. There's a huge snitch culture in the UK. You're not doomcoring. I think it's important to be realistic, yeah. I think it is important to be realistic. France has a national workers' union that anyone can join. I mean, we do as well. It's just a yellow union. And I think that might be a yellow union as well. But it's the same in the US, really. Yeah, for sure. For sure. People turn into cops so much because we're aware that, you know, if you don't participate in the state police oppression, that you could be complicit. You could get in trouble. You don't want to get in trouble. Keep your nose down. No, don't keep your nose down. Keep your head down. Keep your nose clean. That kind of stuff. Neoliberalism just really did a number on us, essentially, is what I'm saying. Anyway, we're getting lost in the weeds a bit, but yeah, let's move on. So here we go. Christian Smalls. This was on Sunday. Breaking news, there have been 2 attempts to sabotage Handala already. Despite having a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week watch, the rotors of the Handala were tied up with rope. They've used divers to incapacitate the boat before. Then we were delivered a tank of acid instead of water for our boat. That water was for our showers and kitchen. It burned 2 crew members. It could have eroded pipes and even worse, burnt us all. We're now awaiting fresh water, causing a 2-hour delay before we set sail to Gaza. Why is Israel afraid of a boat full of baby formula, meds and toys? They sent acid to the boat, chat. To be used in the showers and for drinking water. Could you imagine if someone drank this? Insane. So we got Declassified here talking about the current calls. Well, this is actually a piece by Ilan Pape. This guy is an Israeli. Looks like it tastes like burning. Yeah, it really does. It really does. Ilan Pape is an ex-Israeli, or like he is an Israeli, but he's denounced being called an Israeli or whatever. He's an academic who has repeatedly criticized Israel, repeatedly criticized the Zionist entity and all the crimes it commits. And he's done this piece in Declassified UK talking about which Palestine should Britain recognize, because the current debate that's going on in Parliament in the UK and various other forums, even regarding France, Macron was calling for this shit. We analysed this last week, right? Macron urging the UK to support the state of Palestine, which means that you can then, for some reason, that means it's going to be easier to negotiate a ceasefire, which is just nonsense. It's complete nonsense. You can just stop all arms and do sanctions on Israel. That's the end of it. But of course he won't, because he's compromised. So this is from Ilan Pape. He is writing here saying, many Palestinians, as well as many people within the Solidarity Movement for Palestine, have little faith in the current state of Palestine as it is defined by the Palestinian Authority. The geographical space of this state of Palestine is not entirely clear, given the fact it is bisected by the partition offered by the Oslo Accord to Area A, which allegedly it controls, Area B, which it co-rules with Israel, and Area C, ruled directly by Israel and constitutes 60% of the West Bank. Hence, geographically recognizing such a state, it is tantamount to recognizing a disempowered political entity stretching over less than 20% of the West Bank, as its role in Area B is almost insignificant. No wonder civil societies in the world have an issue with their government's position on Palestine, even if they decide to recognize Palestine, deeming that the Palestine the governments will recognize is the current state of Palestine. It should be noted that the Palestinian Authority demands recognition of a Palestinian state that stretches over the whole of the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, a demand that is supported by those governments that had already promised to recognize the Palestinian state with Jerusalem as its capital. From this perspective, the recognition of Palestine is of a state that is not there yet, and its foundation depends on Israel's position, the international reaction to it, and the validity of the two-state solution. Most of the political parties in Israel today are loyal to the constitutional nationality law of 2018 that stipulates clearly there can only be one nation, the Jewish nation, and for that reason only one nation state between the River Jordan and the Mediterranean. In many ways, this was the last nail driven into the coffin of the two-state solution, a solution that has already been dead for a while. The presence of more than 800,000 Jewish settlers in the West Bank, the total destruction of Gaza with a real possibility of annexation of part of it to Israel, and the political trends in Israel leave very little hope for such a solution to be seriously discussed by Israel. Hence, those who believe that recognizing Palestine will bring nearer the two-state solution are unfortunately out of touch with the reality on the ground. Here's my take on this. I don't think it's that they're out of touch. I think it's because they know that it would be meaningless. They know that it would be a meaningless move, and therefore it would please their Zionist lobby groups that give them tens of thousands, in some cases hundreds of thousands of pounds. And it ultimately means that they won't have to do anything. I think that that's what's going on, personally. And it does seem that for most of the governments which have already taken this move, the recognition is part of their unconditional support for the two-state solution. History, however, might be kinder to them. It could record them not as supporters of the two-state solution necessarily, but as standing against the current Israeli wish to expunge Palestine as a nation, a homeland, and a people. Therefore, the timing here is crucial. Since November 2022, Israel has been ruled by a very extreme right-wing government. Its election reflected the fundamental changes that Israeli Jewish society has undergone in the 21st century. The move to the right of the whole society meant that a new ideological and political elite are ruling Israel. This new elite is messianic, and some parts of it prefer Israel to be a theocracy, and all its members share deep racism towards Arabs in general and Palestinians in particular. If there were any signs, and there hardly were any, of a significant alternative force challenging this new Israeli orientation, they disappeared after the 7th of October 2023. The vast majority of Israeli Jews condone the genocide in Gaza, the ethnic cleansing operations in the West Bank, and the increased discrimination against the Palestine minority inside Israel. Fresh approach, the recognition of Palestine as a state is still seen by European governments as a positive contribution to future diplomacy of peace. However, the inevitable dynamics inside Israel, and more importantly, the continued genocide in the Gaza Strip and the ethnic cleansing operations in the West Bank call upon Europe to play a different role and therefore recognize Palestine with a fresh and new approach to the Israel-Palestine question. The fresh approach requires that the European political elite accept the historical context of developments on the ground. By this I mean to acknowledge that Zionism from the outset was a European project born out of Europe's inability to deal with its own anti-Semitism and opting instead for imposing a European Jewish state on the Arab world and the Palestinians. Israelis deem themselves as part of Europe, and so does Europe. Given that the current Israel openly declares a war of destruction and elimination against the Palestinian people, it enjoys so far Europe's indifference at best and complicity at worst. This destructive Israeli campaign will have far-reaching implications for European society itself, as well as for Europe's relationship with the Arab and Muslim worlds. Recognizing Palestine in this context is first and foremost acknowledging Europe's complicity in the inception of the Zionist project and its disastrous impact on Palestinians. Secondly, it has to be read as a commitment to defend the Palestinians rather than involved in diplomacy meant to solve the conflict. Just got a last bit to read here. There's a huge challenge to the political elites of Europe, which at best are not keen to confront Israel or the pro-Israeli lobby, knowing how easily the allegation of anti-Semitism and Holocaust denial would be thrown at them. Therefore, to expect these politicians to commit to such a moral posture necessitates a similar moral commitment in other areas where the political elites face strong lobbies: military expenditure, fossil energy, neo-capitalism, and multinational corporations. One cannot be too sanguine about such a prospect, but one can always hope that one day politicians will show moral courage and not regard politics as a profession but rather as a vocation. To sum up, even those among us who are not enthusiastic supporters of the Palestine Authority campaign to elicit recognition of Palestine as a state should differentiate between the current Palestinian state, Bantustan, and Palestine, the country which stretches from the river to the sea. Until now, the decision of how much the state will be part of the country was exclusively entrusted into the hands of the Israelis. It is time for the Palestinians, the indigenous people of the country and victims of more than a century of colonialism, to lead the way in determining the future of both Israelis and Palestinians in the land of Palestine. Yeah. This is the key part here. What the leaders of the UK and the US would face if they were to... In fact, let's forget the US, because I don't think the US is going to change on it. I really don't. The establishment there is so completely pro and supportive of Israel that it would really take the collapse of internal Israeli society for them to abandon it. And that very well may be happening. That very well could be a possibility, depending on how much pressure is exerted on the Zionist entity in the next couple of years. I also think that, well, regarding what I was saying earlier, the heads of the state of Europe, the heads of the states of Europe, what they stand to lose from sanctioning Israel and stopping all arms sales to Israel is money. They will lose some lobbying donations for their party. And that's kind of where it is. I think that some of them are probably scared of doing anything to Israel, because Israel is not afraid of doing insane things like assassinating people. And I think if someone were to... I think if a political leader in the UK were to say, right, it's time for sanctions against Israel, it's time to end all arms sales, I think that that person would probably be terrified for their life. I think also there is the connection between MI5, MI6 and Mossad, in terms of Mossad being essentially used as an international intelligence unit. And I think that people don't quite understand how that works. It's something that I didn't really understand for quite a while. But Mossad is kind of used as an umbrella company, if you will, an umbrella organization for international intelligence. And if that were to be cut off in any way, or if there were to be compromised intelligence assets or agents within the UK intelligence system from Mossad, or even from the CIA, who knows, a collaboration of both, that could cause problems for MI5 and MI6. It could cause problems for the British state in a big way. The way that the current Israeli administration is referring to the Samson option, if anything were to happen to the state of Israel, the Samson option being, we will nuke everybody. They're basically an extension of every intelligence network, which is why everyone is so against removing them. Yeah, that's right. And again, Israel is threatening to bomb everybody if it ends up collapsing. So, in a way, it's possible that that's the main reason why Donald Trump was like, yeah, we should just demand a ceasefire between Israel and Iran now, because Iran are going to batter Israel, and if they get destroyed, they're going to send a nuke our way that we might not be able to intercept. We don't know how their nukes work, yada, yada, yada. Israel and its national assets are used by various Western powers for intelligence. Yeah, 100%. So, it would be, again, it's that clinging on to power that you mentioned, Stalker. It is seriously, like, if they were to put these sanctions on Israel, they would lose the access to that international intelligence, and therefore they would be weaker in the international community and weaker as an empire. And that's the demand to hold on to power that you were talking about. And it's coupled with, at the moment, this desperation for more and more money and more resources to be taken away from the public of the US, cutting all these public funds, cutting foreign aid, cutting all these federal funded programs, and essentially pocketing a bunch of wealth for Donald Trump and his rich mates. And the UK is obviously not thinking about that too much. I think that the UK government's main fear at the moment is that the US is going to become a very isolationist state apart from Israel, and it's going to become a belligerent state. I think that the fact that there are US nukes on UK soil right now, which hasn't happened in 20 years or whatever, is an indicator of that. The US is saying, listen, pal, we're putting our shit here. We've had US Army in the UK for a long time, but, you know, we've got their fucking nukes here now. And it's like, this is the power that it's going to start to, to wield in a bit more of a belligerent fashion. If US nukes are here in the UK, that makes us a target. And I don't think the UK public know that. I don't think the UK public understand the ramifications of that. It's like, okay, the US has put nukes here. We had our own nukes, right? But there are some people who don't see us as a threat, but they see the US as a threat. And if you are at all concerned about a potential nuclear war, our possibility of being bombed by a nuclear weapon has just increased by about 50%, I would say, if anything like that were to happen. So, Israel is the Western colony. Mossad is just the frontline branch of the global imperial security forces. Yeah. It's a little like how the House of Saud designed their country to be as incredibly fragile, but also highly integrated into global commerce. So it's in the world's interest to keep their bullshit government as it currently exists. Right. And that is the frivolous. It's not frivolous. That's the fragility of capitalism, right? The states cannot exist as isolationist entities, so will inevitably butt heads against the federal government until something gives. Right. Exactly.
Hello, me old chum.
Elron Hubward, welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Thank you for the follow. Sorry, I didn't mean to call out your name, but I feel like I've seen your name in other people's chats before. So, I had that extra level of... Anyway, enjoy your lurk if you want to lurk. Feel free to lurk. Apologies for that. Yeah, I think that this is where we're at. I think that we're at that kind of stage of the UK is looking at its... no problem. Yeah, I do get around. Yeah, hell yeah. No worries. Welcome to this chat anyway. Good to see you. I think we're at the state where the UK is saying, okay, what is our future? Is the US going to abandon us? And if the US abandons us, we need to look to France as an ally, right? And we will do movie nights again. We'll do movie nights next month, Sorka. For sure. For sure. Without a shadow of a doubt. Promise you. I think that will the US abandon the UK? Yeah, I think it's a real thing. That's a real question. Yeah, well, it's not a question. I think it's gonna happen. I think it's already started to happen. You know? I think the US has abandoned so many of its former allies. Yeah, we're already there. But I don't think the people in charge know that. I think Starmer is desperate to hang on to any kind of relationship that he thinks he has with Donald Trump. Because what is the point of him fawning all over him? Any other leader with a a sense of diplomacy and understanding of the international stage would have gone, yeah, we're kind of fucked. So how does our nation survive without the UK? Without the US? Oh, it can't. Carney over here thought that he ran on, even though he ran on opposition to Trump, is doing that shit too. Yeah. Because what happens is, it's popular to be against a belligerent nation, but when you realize that belligerent nation is something that's propping up the empire that you're a part of, and you end up in a position of power, you go, oh shit. We're being slow walked into World War III, which I suspect people will say had already started by this point in a decade or so. Yeah, 1,000%. 1,000%. And I think that what is going to precede it is a collapse of various empire. I think that it's going to be the fastest war in the world, and that may or may not be because a nuke is used. I'm not entirely certain people are going to use nukes. I think if there's any country that's going to use a nuke, it's absolutely Israel, without a shadow of a doubt. Country, it's not a real country, but you know what I mean. If there's one belligerent Zionist, you know, I've been in bring it on mode for a while. Oh yeah. You know, I think at the end of the day, what we have to remember is that despite it all. I think I said this a few weeks ago when Iran and Israel were trading blows. We were talking about, okay, yeah, there might be a nuclear bomb that gets dropped somewhere in the world and it'll cause nuclear winter, and that won't kill everyone. And what we will need more than anything, if that happens, is a society of dual power, community-based organizations that are owned and run by the people in order to be able to survive that nuclear winter. It's completely necessary. It's more than necessary. There's no percentage in using nukes for anyone hoping to retain land or resources. Israel is the only nation insane to use them in the face of dissolution. Yeah, it's crazy. It's just like insane. Yeah, global workers' unions, yeah, that's it. Same with Albanese in Australia. He only won because he pretended to be vaguely anti-Trump. When he was all along, he was always going to do Trump's bidding. He literally gave the US another $1 billion for AUKUS with literally nothing to show for it. Yeah, it's good, isn't it? It's good. That's all just gone in America's back pocket, therefore Trump's back pocket. It's good stuff, innit? Only 100 have to go off in an hour to put enough ash in the air to kill everyone. Is that true? I don't think it would be 100. And I don't think it would be in an hour. Best case scenario if nukes go off is that the overall plan is to have Israel nuke Iran and vice versa, while the wider Western world does nothing and tries to react passively to the tragedy they created. They would want to nuke Iran first, wouldn't they? They would want to do that. That is what they would do. It's not the radiation that will get you, it's the blocking out the sun. Yeah, nuclear winter, yeah. Anyway. That's where we're at. No, of course. I know that some people might read how you wrote that and said, oh, it'd be really good if they nuked Iran. I know that you're not wanting to nuke Iran. I know that you're not calling for that. It might not snowball if no one wants to back Israel and they're acting alone. Right, exactly. You're talking about what the best possible, most likely scenario would be if that were to happen. Anyway, let's move on to some prescribed group Palestine Action stuff. So this is Huda Amori, who founded Palestine Action. She's saying, check out what Nish Kumar is saying about Palestine Action. Nish Kumar is a famous UK comedian.
America have shit their pants, and the UK government has shit its pants on Gaza. The UK government has failed us. There is a vacuum of leadership on this issue. That's why I'm so pleased to see you all out here. I'm genuinely so proud to accept the invitation of a group of people who have organised this and been part of an artistic community that is stepping into a void that should be occupied by real political leadership. And now the UK government, and I am going to be very careful legally because of warnings from lawyers with how I phrase the next bit, but the UK government has prescribed Palestine Action as a terrorist group, and even expressing support for that terrorist group could result in a 14-month prison sentence. And when I heard this, do you know what it made me think? Kids these days have got it too fucking easy, man. In my day, if you wanted to be prescribed as a terrorist group, you had to get a pilot's license, hijack planes using box cutters, and you had to fly them into the World Trade Center. Osama bin Laden is turning in his grave. Maybe don't use that bit for socials.
I fucking love Nish. He's so funny. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Hey PvP, how you doing? Right, we got a next video here from the IOF. So this is crazy shit. We got Zionism Observer here on over on the Dark Place Twitter, saying that the IDF made a 43-second video of them not shooting aid seekers and released it as propaganda. Let's talk about it. So you've got here Lieutenant Commander Nadav Shoshani. When you look past the headlines and Hamas's lies, the truth is clear. Israel is not at war with the people of Gaza. Oh, really? What about all the bombs, bro? I don't know, like, what about all the other stuff? Anyway, today many civilians advance towards the soldiers. The only order given to our troops is do not engage, do not shoot. That's crazy, bro. Why are they being given that order? They can't even do this right. They can't even do this right. Why are they being told not to shoot, bro? Yeah, on camera, do not engage, do not shoot. You're on camera right now. Don't shoot any babies. Yeah? Here is the video. Let's take a look at this. Uh-huh. Why have they got their guns pointed at them, bro? Why they got the guns pointed at them? And why is the general going, no one shoot? And why is this guy looking confused? I thought you said we could shoot anyone, dog. What's going on? Why would they react like this if this was a normal daily occurrence? Why would they be like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you? If they're getting aid every day, and Israel is saying that they're getting aid every day, why would they be like, oh, thank God, alhamdulillah, we didn't get shot today? Why are they, you know? In the first 30 seconds, IOF officers yell some variation of don't shoot the civilians no less than 7 times. Not shooting aid seekers is either, one, such a novelty that a soldier pulled out his phone to film it, yeah, or multiple soldiers were instructed to film them not shooting aid seekers. Yeah, he didn't get the memo. You can see the moment Palestinians realize nobody will be killed while seeking aid. They cheer. They're cheering that Israel, for once, did not massacre any aid seekers. Apparently, this aid distribution consisted of parking a truck in the sand and standing back while it gets swarmed. That is what they made a propaganda video of. Interesting. This is what it reminded me of. What is this? It's today well known that the Nazis in 1944-1945 produced a propaganda film about Theresienstadt, the concentration camp for Jews in occupied Czechoslovakia. Long thought to be titled Der Führer schenkt der Juden eine Stadt, the Führer donates a town to the Jews, it's now firmly established that its actual title was Theresienstadt, ein Dokumentarfilm aus dem jüdischen Siedlungsgebiet, a documentary film from the Jewish settlement area. The purpose of this film was to give a false image of life at the ghetto camp and to deceive the outer world as to what was truly happening to the Jews of Europe. The film was made on orders of the SS, who appointed the Berlin cabaret artist, actor, and film director Kurt Geron, himself a prisoner of the ghetto, to write a film script and head a Jewish production team. Hundreds of inmates were enlisted as actors or extras. A camera crew from Prague newsreel company Aktualita arrived to do the actual filming. Shooting began on August 16th, 1944, and with pauses lasted for 11 days, finishing on September the 11th. Spooky. The film was edited in Prague and completed in March 1945. Yeah, it's crazy how that shit happens, right? Crazy how that shit goes down. Yeah, they made it impossible for anyone else to distribute aid. It's good, innit? If you have to tell your men not to shoot unarmed people 7 times in a row until they understand they're not supposed to shoot unarmed people, it tells me that they should have unloaded. They would have unloaded a magazine if they had said it 6 times. Yep, that's right. Anyway, let's have a look at popular public opinion of Israel. So this is Israel in the UK. It's an official account of the Embassy of Israel in London. Literally operated and headed by Tzipi Hotovely, the absolute fascist demon who's been on Piers Morgan and said like absolutely disgusting things, depraved lies about Palestinians, Hamas, Gaza, you name it. Yesterday, Christian Friends of Israel came together in Cornwall for a vigil to raise awareness for the remaining 50 hostages still in Hamas captivity. Because they really need awareness, don't they? They really need awareness. No one knows about this, do they? No one knows about the hostages. No one on the media anywhere is saying bring them home. No one is saying that. I'd forgotten all about them. It's just not... No one speaks about them ever, do they? They don't speak about them. They don't ever talk about them, do they? They don't. So it's really good that they did this. We stand with the Jewish community. We stand with the Jewish community. Should we count, chat? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And the person with the camera, that makes 14. There's about a dozen of us. This is crazy. And yeah, Christian Friends of Israel, it's a good point to point that out. It's a good idea to think about what could Christian Friends of Israel be. Let's have a little look. Christian Friends of Israel. What the fuck is this? Pathway for peace. For decades, many people have claimed the only route to peace between Israel and its neighbors is the so-called two-state solution. That's a good start, isn't it? The so-called two-state solution. I mean, we know that it's a so-called two-state solution. The 1920 San Remo resolution envisaged a different approach, which holds more hope after 7th of October 2023. What do you think it is, chat? What do you think? Do you think that the 1920 San Remo resolution is going to be just murder every Palestinian? Because I think it probably is. Hey, Apple Chips, how you doing? I was listening to a pod interviewing Jimmy the Giant yesterday, and I'm more worried about the UK than the US today. Jimmy the Giant? Who's that? The UK is certainly going down the same road as the US, without a shadow of a doubt. You know, I don't think it will be as intense, but I definitely think they'll try. I think it will be crap, and I don't think they'll manage it. And I think that the army will probably be called in to try and do state crushing of dissent before it gets to a point. Is it the Madagascar plan? I don't know. Big pizza party? Let's see details. We couldn't find the product you're looking for. What do you mean online shop? I didn't click the online shop. I clicked see details. The lions roar. Israel's preemptive strike against the Islamic Republic regime in Iran came as something of a surprise. It was a long time in the making and a response to incessant vitriolic threats and a very real danger. Seems like there's not much about combating anti-Semitism in the UK here, and this is more just propaganda for Israel. With like an ancient PayPal donate logo from 10 or 14 years ago. It's still got the old Twitter logo. They haven't bothered to update that. He's a UK leftist guy who I guess is popular on Insta. Jimmy the Giant. Not heard of it. This is wild. So looks to me just like a group of Israelis who set up a group and then were like, hey, talk about this in your church to one guy. Okay, that's that. That's that basically. So yeah, there you go. Next up in UK news, this is what happens when you hold a sign. This is what happens in the UK when you hold a sign saying, I oppose genocide. This is what happens. This is like an old lady, by the way. This is like a 50-year-old lady. Just dragged off. So this is in Liverpool. Love that guy calling them fascist bastards. Unusual to see Rozzers with numbers on their shoulders. Can't have had time to take them off. Yeah, sometimes they do be doing that. Yeah. So this woman is Audrey White. This is the woman who did this. She was arrested under the Terrorism Act for holding that placard. Some of you will remember her for this incredible clip at some point last year.
Just say that I don't know how you've got the guts to come to this city
Yep.
after you have been being interviewed and doing columns for the Sun newspaper, after the way we as a city were abused, and after the way we as a city, the Hillsborough victims were abused by that paper, and you've come here. Secondly, you lied to us about uniting the party. I'm still a Labour Party member, and you've expelled and witch hunted in the most vicious way I've ever seen in my lifetime. And I've been a member of the Labour Party for a long, long time. You have absolutely said you had 10 pledges, you were going to carry on the Corbyn legacy. And ever since, you've done nothing but distance yourself from the ideas which tens of thousands of people joined the Labour Party to support. And all you've done is feed into the Tory ideology of not supporting strikes, of carrying on with the privatisation of our health service. You're doing everything to feed into a Tory victory. Because we may as well have a Tory if we have a person like you who lies to the party. It's dishonesty.
Thank you very much.
And our health service is going right
much.
down the pan. And you have a big responsibility, the working class people of this country.
Can you move back, please?
Excuse me. You're just, don't be getting physical
No,
with
I'm not
me.
touching you. Can you move back then, please?
You're touching my breast.
Can you move back, please?
Now move back.
No, can you
I
move
want to
back,
go
please?
to the toilet.
Toilet's
Can I
over
go?
that way.
Legend. Absolute legend. And she's continuing her legacy as a legend. She was released, as most of the people who were arrested for holding placards. It's been going on every weekend since the prescription of Palestine action. The Defend Our juries have been running these protests, and it is a test on the UK power. And we're going to get into a bit of this later on. Yeah, she's a real queen, real legend. And so also, Palestine Action co-founder Huda Amori is asking for permission to challenge the group's prescription at the High Court. This was on Monday, and there have been some hearings that have been reported on. So context, let's get some tunes on for this. Palestine Action was prescribed on 5th of July, making it the first time in history a civil disobedience group is branded as a terrorist organisation. The prescription came after activists sprayed paint on the engines of 2 Voyager aircraft at RAF Bryce Norton. Amori was refused interim relief earlier this month, meaning Judge Chamberlain declined to temporarily suspend the prescription order pending future hearings. She was then refused an appeal on the interim relief decision, meaning the order was permitted to come into effect. In delivering his decision, Judge Chamberlain said prescription would not infringe on the rights of Britons wishing to protest Israel's actions in Gaza, including direct action. But events over recent weeks have seen protesters questioned by police for waving Palestine flags. And we've seen this on the stream. We looked at that last week. The hearing today centers on whether Amori will be granted permission to challenge the prescription through a judicial review. Raza Hussein KC opens the prescription renders the UK an international outlier, with direct action typically viewed as activism, not terrorism. Irish KC Blinna Nigrala takes over, providing context on the Israeli atrocities in Gaza, which Palestine Action seeks to disrupt and prevent. She cites UN experts and NGOs. Israel has killed a classroom of children every day for 653 days, alongside their parents and grandparents. An average of 10 children in Gaza lose their limbs every day. Israel has done that while damaging or destroying every single hospital in Gaza, including picking off Gaza's medics. Israel is starving the population of Gaza. There is presently no baby milk left in Gaza. People are literally medically wasting away. They're starving to death, and that's despite there being enough food for the population of Gaza being stockpiled at the border and not being let in. Blinner continues, there is near consensus in the human rights world that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. The Israeli military is doing this with parts that are being provided by arms firms in Britain, particularly F-35's Elbit Systems, Israel's largest arms firm and Palestine Action's main target, plays a key role in these war crimes and crimes against humanity. Blinner adds, Elbit markets itself as the backbone of the IDF and describes its employees as civil soldiers, she says. Blinner concludes on this point. 30 years ago, after Srebrenica, we said, never again, let us not fail once again. That is what the claimant and individuals associated with Palestine Action have been seeking to disrupt and prevent. Blinner now moves onto the impact of prescription of civil society and the right to protest. She references specifically the incident in Kent where armed police officers questioned a woman who's wearing a Palestine flag and holding a placard condemning the genocide in Gaza. Chamberlain counters, this is obviously an officer that doesn't understand the law at all. Blinner says that's cold comfort for the woman who's told she can't protest again in Kent. Crucially, Blinner says nobody has come out and said that the officers did anything wrong. Kent has not issued an apology or a retraction. The Secretary of State has not come out and said that this is a manifest misapplication of the law, Blinner declares. There is therefore no reason to believe the incident in Kent will not be replicated across the country. Blinner cites another egregious example in which a protester was arrested for carrying a reproduction of a satirical image published in Private Eye. It is now unclear whether Private Eye will have a knock on the door themselves. This is the joke. Unacceptable Palestine Action, spraying military planes with paint. Acceptable Palestine Action, shooting Palestinians queuing for food. So it was illegal to hold a placard that had this. Also, this is incredibly funny. Debt to the IDF profits UK arms industry. Blinner also cites submissions from declassified UK and Novara media regarding concerns about the implications of prescription for freedom of the press. There is sheer confusion as to what journalists can and cannot publish now, she says. Blinner concludes some of the above arguments. We're not just complaining about the impact on individuals who happen to be caught up in the prescription. We say that Palestine Action's prescription is incompatible with the Terrorism Act. Prescription is unnecessary in a democratic society. There were alternative measures available to the state which were not pursued. The court must not place undue weight onto national security issues if they're not a central feature of the Home Office case. Prescription of Palestine Action is unlawfully discriminatory because it has a disproportionate impact on Palestinians who protest in favor of international law as it applies to Palestinians. They do not apply to others, including those who are anti-Palestinian rights. Unlike the rest of the general public, those who want to speak out against what Israel is doing and in support of Palestinian rights are disproportionately affected by this prescription. Raza Hussein KC takes over from Blinner and focuses on the problems inherent to the definitions used within the Terrorism Act. The Act states that terrorism can involve the use or threat of action designed to influence government involving serious damage to property. Authority, Hussein emphasizes it is absurd to say, look at the definition of terrorism act and say the Home Secretary can just prescribe because this runs completely contrary to common law. He cites Lord Anderson, the former independent reviewer of terrorism legislation, who said the definitions of terrorism within the Act are remarkably broad, absurdly so. A literal interpretation of the definitions without reference to what Parliament had intended for the Act or common understandings of what constitutes terrorism would allow protest or political groups to be prescribed regardless of how odious the regime they have attacked. The government's lawyers have now taken over for a long discussion on procedural issues. Judge Chamberlain is concerned about proper forum for individuals to argue prescription is disproportionate after they've been arrested for holding a sign saying I support Palestine action. If I'm thinking in terms of discretion, surely it would be much better for proportionality of the order to be considered in judicial review proceedings than to be considered by a magistrate court, Chamberlain asks. The government's lawyers counter this by saying anyone could then rely on a human rights argument to get judicial review with the effect of effectively unraveling the statutory regime. The government's lawyers are arguing the Prescribed Organisations Appeal Commission is appropriate forum for reviewing prescription rather than judicial review. They say that POAC is a specialist tribunal established by Parliament relating to claims on prescription, overseen by 3 judges, which can more easily review evidence provided to a closed court. The court rises for lunch. Hearing is resumed. A decision may be handed down around 4:30 p.m. It could be subject to change. Let's see if we can get to the decision, if that happened. Judge Chamberlain is withholding judgment until next week. There will be a further hearing on Wednesday, the 30th of July, when the full judgment will be handed down to both parties. So, we'll have to see how this goes. But you can clearly hear from the lawmakers in the room that it makes absolutely zero sense. Of course, you're right, PM Triox. The lesson here is that Paint was being polite. Yep. If you make peaceful protest impossible, then violent protest will become the only option. And this government seems to not understand that. Or they seem to don't care about it. They seem to think that they can weather such a storm. Or maybe it will be a problem for another administration that will be more fascist. Who knows? The current administration signed off on this and The Hague beckons, that's right. The UK is in itself support of terrorism by supplying Israel with the arms and other aid. They probably want it. Possibly they do. Because then that would mean that they could engage in more sweeping terrorist, anti-terrorist, legislation. And you know what? If they want it, I don't think they can handle it anyway, yeah. So, there you go. So this legend held up a Palestine flag at the Royal Opera House, and someone behind the scenes tried to violently take it off him. This person is a performer in the opera. This person tried to violently take it off them, and they were like, no, you're not doing that. And even sort of like violently sort of like looks at them and goes like, don't fucking dare. And the Mail, is this the Mail? I don't know. It's either the Mail or the Times. I think it's this looks like the Times. Revealed Palestine protester at Royal Opera House attended a 48 grand a year school. Queer dance artist Daniel Perry unfurled a Palestinian flag during the curtain call of Il Trovatore. And a friend of the stream here, Mikey Walsh, says, the truth is the UK establishment see people who use their privilege to highlight social inequality, and they cannot register or fathom why. They see it as a deep and personal betrayal to their kind. Extremely true, you know. What else do we got here? Do I want to cover the AOC stuff? I don't know. I'd rather cover this stuff. A bunch of activists blocked Lead Pride's parade, which happened the weekend just gone, demanding that Leeds Pride drop its connection to companies complicit in the genocide in Gaza. Let's hear what they've got to say. So they stopped the Jet 2 bus. because Jet2 is a complicit company, and so is Booking.com. Endless love for these queers. Hell yeah. That's what we love to see. What else do we got here? Some more good news. Let's hear what ADL, the Anti-Defamation League CEO Jonathan Greenblatt, says about Israel's current reputation on the world stage.
So we run surveys every 2 to 3 years, like a sentiment analysis, to try to gauge how the majority population feels about Jewish people.
You mean about Israel?
So in this case, we do a domestic survey in the United States. And what I can tell you briefly is that we've been doing these surveys, I should say, since the 1960s. So we have a lot of information, a lot of longitudinal data. We're a very data-driven, evidence-based organization.
Oh, it's just so Zionist, isn't it? It's the most Zionist shit ever, isn't it? We're very, very evidence-based. Just so you know, we're a very evidence-based and data-driven organization. Yeah, but the data that you're about to quote is you're going to say this is everybody's opinion on Jewish people, when really what you mean is this is everybody's opinion on Israel.
And basically in the last 5 years, intense, elevated anti-Semitic attitudes have more than doubled their share of the population.
Yeah, if you mean criticism of Israel.
11% of the U.S. population had intense anti-Semitic attitudes. Today, in the last 5 years, it's gone from 11 to 24%. Now, globally, the numbers are even more stark. So when we did our first global survey of 100 plus countries in 2014, and we work with the market research firm Ipsos, based here in Paris, to do these surveys. In 2014, we found that 26% of adults worldwide had entrenched or extreme anti-Semitic attitudes.
Extreme anti-Zionist attitudes.
26%. That's more than 1 billion people. We thought that was a lot. When we ran the survey last year, in 2024, that percentage went from 26% to 46%. 2.2 billion adults and change. And that's based on almost 60,000 interviews in many different languages all over the planet. So to see that the percentage of adults worldwide who with intense anti-Semitism has more than or nearly doubled in the last decade is shocking.
Again, to clarify, as I've been saying the entire time he's been saying this, he is referring to anti-Israel sentiment. It is the purpose of the Anti-Defamation League. You know, yes, their definition of anti-Semitism is not correct. They're not talking about people who despise Jewish people simply for being Jewish. They are their definition of anti-Semitism is people who criticize Israel. You know? And, you know, they did a good job because they confused everybody for a long time. And even I thought, I was absolutely certain for a long time. I've always been an anti-fascist. I've always been, incredibly aware of people who, have legit anti-Semitic tendencies and seen that rhetoric amongst the far right, the fascists, and been able to recognize it. And I even thought for a long time, I don't know, it must have been, and even I've been pro-Palestine for a long time. I thought that their definition of anti-Semitism included people who think that the state of Israel acts on behalf of Jewish people, but that wasn't true because they change it all the fucking time. They like mess with it and do different bits and yada yada yada. Anyway, currently their definition of anti-Semitism is anyone who doesn't like Israel. And they apply things like, do you believe in a free Palestine, to be an anti-Semitic statement? And it's like, okay, well, you're not qualifying what a free Palestine is there. And when most people refer to a free Palestine, they mean a place and a scenario where Palestinians are not genocided, right? So again, when thinking about this and thinking about how anti-Israel sentiment has increased by 25% worldwide, this is good stuff. This is good. It's a good thing, you know? Speaking of which, we had this brought to our attention by, I think, Middle Earth Marxist and a couple of people the other week when I discovered that Aussie guy. You all showed me that Aussie guy who's pretty based and he's pretty good on Palestine. This is Peter Cronau. I don't know who this is. Investigative journalist from A Secret Australia. So-called anti-Semitic crimes in both Melbourne and Sydney were organised by individuals using encrypted comms and hiring street crims. The so-called anti-Semitic crimes of the last summer now appear to have been staged to create a moral panic around anti-Semitism amongst communities that in truth were not boiling over with hatred towards Jewish people at all. The synagogue arson attack arrest hints at Sydney's anti-Semitic criminal con job. So this is that, yeah, the blacks rule thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's not the same as the blacks rule thing. It's very similar to that one false flag. So yeah, an example of that. Here's a fucking crazy thing, chat.
Now, listen, lads. Right, I've got a massive demo on the 13th of September. It's costing an absolute fortune, and every fucker says you fund me anyway, right? Because I wore a Mossad t-shirt when I was in Israel, which means you fund me. So, seeing as everyone says it anyway, and I get a load of shit for it, I don't really care. Get your fucking wallet out and help us out, right? We're going to have the biggest free speech festival London's ever seen. People come from all around the world. The whole world's going to watch it. I'll do a little Mossad tribute. I'll wear my Mossad t-shirt. But I need you to pay, or help us pay. We've got some mad fees coming in for this event. So, Mossad, please pay for our demo.
Begging Mossad for funding, with the caveat that everyone says that you fund me anyway, so you might as well. Damn, dude, that's crazy. It's crazy that this fascist Nazi, literally fascist Nazi, is also a Zionist. That's crazy, dude. Tommy Robinson was the leader of the EDL. I think he still calls his organization in front the EDL, the English Defence League, one of the biggest fascists in the UK, basically. So, it's good stuff. We've got some more people here being arrested in the UK for saying that they support Palestine action. He got a haircut and it threw me. Yeah, he's always looked like a nice gem. What else do we got here? We got some Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez thing, but it's not really relevant to what I really want to get into today. We got Palestine actions, not Palestine action, but Palestine actions that are happening all over the world. So this one is crazy. Comrades in Australia are locking themselves on the roof of EOS Systems. EOS, short for Electro-Optical Systems, has facilities in Symonston and Hume in Australia. The company has three main divisions covering defence, space and communications. Its Defence Systems division manufactures remote weapon stations which have applications in manned and unmanned vehicles. EOS Systems is currently directly enabling Israel's genocide on Gaza through supplying weapons. This was on Monday as well. We've got some incredibly brave actionists here locking on to this with a kneecap tune in the background. So yeah, this is just a video of them locking on the roof of the thing. Legends. Absolute legends. A bit worried they were going to try and lock the necks in. Now use the limits way safer. Yeah, it's a bit spooky that. So this guy has been saying this for some time. People don't get it yet, but Israel is already over. I said it a year ago. It will never be stable or manageable. It is only going to implode or explode violently. What is this? Documentation from Cinema City, Jerusalem. Youths rioted in the popcorn area, threw objects at workers while shouting death to Arabs. No arrests were made. Normal society. Completely normal society. Why do you think Tommy Robinson is begging for funding from Mossad? What do you reckon? What do you reckon that's about, chat? Anyway, I wanted to talk about that particular stuff. And in the UK, and check a little look at this article. This is from a while ago. So I believe it is very likely that I covered this on a stream at some point, because there were anti-fracking protests in the UK for quite a while, and they were fairly recently. I might not have gotten this. But this is a piece of writing from Central Manchester Chambers. This week, prosecutions against members of the anti-fracking protest movement in Lancashire have been brought to a national attention in newspaper headlines. It is not my place to comment on any allegations of bias in this specific case. However, having defended in anti-fracking protest trials, it is in my opinion that there are serious problems with the cases brought against protesters, writes Mark Pritchard. You'll understand why I'm talking about this in a minute. The motives of the anti-fracking protesters are varied. Some have serious concerns regarding the threat to the environment, others the threat to health and associated cancer risk, others are concerned about damage to property. Almost all are concerned about the impact the process has had on democracy. All of them are relying upon their rights of freedom of expression and freedom of assembly. When reviewing these cases, the Crown Prosecution Service looks at the behaviour of protesters and tries to find a crime that fits. This is not conjecture on my part. I have been told by a prosecution agent in a protest case that if this doesn't fit, we will find something that does. Okay? Now, what I want you to think about here, chat, is that even before Palestine Action was prescribed as a terrorist organisation in the UK, the Filton 18, that are now the Filton 23, because an additional 5 people have been arrested in relation to that case over the last week, they were already being charged under terrorism laws, under the Terrorism Act. So the Terrorism Act exists to charge individuals and also organizations. That is the breadth of the legislation. And we heard in that previous bit of writing, in the thread from Declassified UK, about the two cases talking about how the terrorism legislation in the UK is extremely broad and vague. That is obviously the reason for it. So the Filton 18 were already being charged under terrorism charges, and they've been held on remand, some of them for over a year, 18 months, until their trial. And even then, when their trial happens, they may not get released and they will have to serve their sentence, right? It is a complete miscarriage of justice that these people who have engaged in, allegedly, I don't know if it's true, but allegedly engaged in sabotage of corporations, are being held on remand without trial, without bail. Coming up on a year for some of them. Some of them have already been in for a year and 18 months. I got told by a couple once there are X crimes in this borough every week, and one of them is just made to fit you, so shut it. I was 12 at the time. Oh, yeah. The state will do anything to prosecute you because it has to get numbers, right? The state will have been told by the Zionist lobby, your people are causing a problem with us getting weapons from you. And you need to sort that out in any way possible. So use whatever laws you've got to put them away. In the same way that police are told every single time, every week, there are 12 crimes, yeah? Or however many crimes. We have to put X amount of people away every week, or charge X amount of people every week. Give them a fine, whatever. Otherwise, we don't get our funding, yeah? Protest cases are almost exclusively prosecuted by a small number of agents who are paid a very high cost per case rate. Defendants are charged with offences never designed to be used against protesters. This makes cases exceptionally complex and difficult both to defend and to prosecute. A prosecute at all costs mentality has proven to be very expensive and has taken up a great deal of court time. What offences are protesters charged with? Unlawful obstruction at the highway. The main offence with which anti-fracking protesters have found themselves charged is unlawful obstruction of the highway. This offence is designed to prevent people from stopping the free flow of traffic on public roads without a reasonable excuse. In protest cases, the offence is being used to arrest and prosecute protesters who attempt to block access to private roads by lying on the boundary of the public highway. Protesters lie in the entrance of fracking sites and lock their arms together in a device known as a lock-on. This prevents drilling equipment entering the site while the protest is ongoing. Because this offence is being used in a way in which it was never meant to be used, many of these cases devolve into complex legal arguments regarding where the boundary between the public and private road is, and even what constitutes a highway. Section 241 Trade Union and Labour Relations Consolidation Act 1992. Another charge that has been used by the Crown Prosecution Service to prosecute protesters is this one. The offence was created to deal with violent and disruptive pickets in trade union disputes. It is now being used against protesters who prevent heavy goods vehicles and heavy plant entering the site by peacefully sitting on vehicles or chaining themselves to them. Protesters call this lorry surfing. As this charge is being used for a purpose never envisaged by those who drafted the legislation, the cases become very complex indeed. One trial I defended recently involved less than 2 hours of actual evidence being heard and more than 2 full days of legal argument involving law so complex that the lay bench felt the need to adjourn the case to allow the legal advisor 2 weeks to study the cited law. Now, this one is key here. Brought in 1992 under John Major's government to deal with so-called violent and disruptive pickets. This is part of the Conservative government's crackdown on trade union action. I cannot remember what this was specifically in relation to at the time, but you can imagine there were some trade union pickets that were probably not being violent towards people, but probably being violent towards vehicles and scabs and plant vehicles. In the same way as, you know, the protesters at the anti-fracking protests were lorry surfing. Could very well have been trade unionists who were attaching themselves to lorries or gripping onto lorries or hijacking them or whatever, right? Public nuisance. The latest offence shown by the Crown Prosecution Service is public nuisance. This has led to the controversial imprisonment of 3 protesters. Kirsty Brownlow QC stated that these would become the first environmental activists to receive jail sentences for a protest in the UK since 1932. Public nuisance is a common law offence designed to punish those who cause injury, loss, or damage to the public. It is not designed to protect the interests of private individuals or companies. So, all of these laws are not applicable to what they are being used for, what kind of cases that they're being used for. And that's because there is no real law in the UK that says that these things are illegal, that these kinds of things are illegal. And that's why the government was desperate to put through the Police Crimes and Sentencing Bill, because that had laws in it, that had sections in it that were talking about things like lock-ons and talking about things like disrupting the flow of traffic on a private road, all this kind of stuff, right? What we're seeing here, and it has been happening under the Tory government, and of course anything that happened under the Tory government is going to increase tenfold under the Starmer government. It's already been happening. They are going to try and prosecute people and jail them for using their right to protest. So, I can guarantee without a shadow of a doubt that these kinds of laws are already being twisted to make protesters feel like they shouldn't protest, to scare them into submission. Think about the Filton 23, right? The Filton 23, who were the Filton 18, they're now the Filton 23. They've been put in prison. They didn't have a trial. They were literally like the most. I cannot even begin to. It can't be understated. It literally cannot be understated that this is a gross overreach of the law, and there has already been investigation into it to say that the Zionist entity has had a hand in pushing the UK government to do this. This is something that has been documented, and this is where we're at in the UK. This is where we are at. The very first time that I had on the show Prisoner Solidarity Network on Red Planet, John, one of the prisoners in Prisoner Solidarity Network, ex-prisoner now, and I think his name was Joel, one of the activists, who very well may have been a prisoner at some point. I don't know, he didn't disclose that, but regardless, had solidarity with prisoners anyway. They told us about the fact that prisons simply do not exist to, do anything for protecting the public. Yo! Yo, No Justice, thank you so much for the raid. How are you doing? How was your stream? Please go and follow No Justice MTG. We've already raided her a couple of times, but you should absolutely go and follow her if you aren't already. Welcome in, raiders. If you don't know me, my name is djmuel. I'm a leftist political streamer in the UK. I've got a background in organising. I was the chair of Greater Manchester Tenants Union for a while. I've also done member solidarity actions with Greater Manchester Tenants Union for the last 3 years. Done things like eviction resistances, helped tenants in their disputes with their landlords, won a lot of the time. And yeah, I do political commentary on Twitch. We are currently talking about the UK's state overreach of fascist bending of the law in order to subjugate protesters. So we're currently going through a little bit of that. Thank you so much for all the follows. Really appreciate that. I hope you enjoy your time here. And thank you so much for the raid. Honestly, No Justice, if you're tired after the stream and that, don't worry. Go and sort yourself out. Have a cup of tea. Relax. Break everything down and whatnot. But thank you so much for the raid. I really, really appreciate that. Nice one. Jim Speak, hello. We got Brody G99 as well. Welcome in. Hope you're all having a good day. Okay, yeah, so we will crack on. I'm currently reading this and just talking, generally speaking. I'll catch you all up on it. This is a piece of writing from centralchambers.co.uk. It's titled, Are we bending the law to break protesters? And I was currently talking about the Filton 18. If you are familiar, the Filton 18 are 18 Palestine actionists who were detained and held on remand before the prescription of Palestine Action. So this was before they were prescribed as a terrorist organization, and they were charged with terror offenses for essentially doing things like criminal damage, sabotage, trespass. These are all laws that currently exist. And again, it's why it's such a joke that Palestine Action has been prescribed, because there were already laws to cover in the legislation to cover the things that Palestine Action was doing. And it makes it even more of a farce when you read this article, because again, the Filton 18 have been held on remand without trial, in some cases for 18 months, in some cases coming up to a year. My partner's best friend is one of them, and they have just been held in incredibly horrible conditions. Again, the Tory lies, the conservative reactionary lies that prison is a holiday camp in the UK is just nonsense. They're not let out of their cells. They're let out of their cells for like 45 minutes a day, just however long the screws say that they can leave their cells. Anyway, that's the plight of the Filton 18, who are now the Filton 23, because another 5 actionists have been arrested, related to that. Hey, John the Brazen, how are you doing? But yeah, all Keir has to say in opposition to that is release the sausages. And this is a piece of writing, Central Manchester Chambers, from a few years ago now. If you remember in the UK, if you're a Brit bonger, you'll remember in the UK that there was a huge crackdown on anti-fracking protesters back, like I say, a number of years ago. And this person, Mark Pritchard, was talking about the way in which prosecutions were being bent in terms of using the laws that exist and changing their meaning, essentially, in order to apply them to protesters, to anti-fracking protesters. Hi, Electro Bubble. Nice tunes, can taste the rainbow. Yeah, you know it. You know it. So, we were going through a bunch of this, and there are 3 main laws that the Crown Prosecution Service, which is the main prosecution service that deals with protesters when they're trying to crush dissent in the UK, there are 3 main laws that they're trying to charge people with. So, for example, the Section 241 Trade Union and Labour Relations Consolidation Act, this was literally to prosecute violent and disruptive pickets in trade union disputes. Again, this was a law that was already created in a horrific fascist context of, if trade unionists fight back against cops who are brutalizing them, right? They're not allowed to do that. No resistance allowed, right? But for some reason, they were trying to apply this to people who were locking on to heavy plant machinery and stopping them from entering the sites. Heavy goods vehicles. Protesters called it lorry surfing. You will have heard of it before. You will have seen various activists do things like this all over the world. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Thank you for all the follows. Appreciate all of them. Thank you. As this charge is being used for a purpose never envisaged by those who drafted the legislation, the cases could become very complex indeed. Yeah, that's the whole purpose of it, right? It's the whole purpose of applying a law like this to something it's not intended for, is to make it complex, to make the prosecution a complex scenario, whereby if there's a jury involved or if there's a judge involved, you know, in whatever case, I believe Crown Prosecution Services don't have a jury. I might be wrong about that. I can't remember. I think there was some change in the way that they do things. But regardless, either the judge or the jury, however they get prosecuted in the Crown Prosecution Service, are going to be confused. They're going to be like, yeah, maybe this does apply. I don't know. But again, as it says here, one trial I defended recently involved less than 2 hours of actual evidence being heard and more than 2 full days of legal argument involving law so complex that the lay bench felt the need to adjourn the case to allow legal advisor 2 weeks to study the cited law. 2 weeks! They had to study the law that was cited to see, like, can this apply? Does it work? So, we're up to here, essentially. Do these cases belong in the criminal courts? The reality is that cases involving financial loss or nuisance to a private company or individual ought to be brought in the civil courts, whilst various injunctions and counter-injunctions are being fought in the civil courts, and the very question of the legality of fracking at the site determined by the High Court, criminal cases continue. At a time where there are significant cuts to police numbers, court staff and Crown Prosecution Service lawyers, it's difficult to see how the current regime of policing and prosecutions is anything but prioritising the business interests of the fracking industry over the wider public interest. You could easily switch this out for the interests of the Zionist entity of Israel. You could easily switch it out for that, without a shadow of a doubt. These laws will be used to prosecute people who are protesting for Palestinians. And they may try and get away with getting them on terror charges, but if they haven't done anything that they could possibly say, oh well, this is definitely in support of Palestine action, you know, if they didn't have a Palestinian flag on them, for example, if they weren't wearing a keffiyeh, because already the terrorism charge for supporting Palestine action is being stretched to include that stuff. If they didn't have any of that stuff on them, then potentially they will be charged with these kinds of things, and it will be bending the law in order to serve the state. There are a few test cases using self-defense law, as I recall. They got dropped around the time this came in. It was quite a while ago. Right, okay. Interesting. The government is disproportionately spending time, money, and resources to protect a private industry with the means to protect itself. This is an industry that makes offers of investment to local councils when trying to get permission to set up drills in their backyards, after all. It must be right that the law be used to protect individuals and companies as per the intentions of the legislature, but when old common law offences, road traffic laws, and brutal anti-trade union laws are used to prevent peaceful protests against a resource exploitation linked to countless geological, health, and environmental concerns, something is not right. When this is done at great cost to the taxpayer, there is something even less right. When this is against the backdrop of CPS advocates being paid even less than underpaid defense advocates in regular criminal cases, questions need to be asked and answers need to be given by those who are constitutionally accountable to the taxpayer. Makes sense. Makes absolute sense. So, a very interesting thing to consider, and it is, without a shadow of a doubt, something that is going to be being used to arrest and charge people protesting for Palestine in the current regime. So, that's that. I wanted to mention that because I think it's extremely pertinent. The UK is becoming very quickly a fascist authoritarian state. The question is how long they can keep it up for. Because UK police have always been pretty good at being horrible thugs, horrible fascist thugs, but it depends on just how fascist they're willing to go. They're not like the French police. They don't use tear gas. They don't use batons all the time. They definitely use it some of the time, that's for sure. But we will have to see. We will have to see. And we will have to see what kind of pushback we get from people organising. And as always, there are many more of us than there are of them. We're going to have a little look now. We're going to move from this boring legal section of the stream into the brain rot. And we're going to be checking out maybe some more of this guy. But maybe not. Maybe we're instead going to watch this. Now, I don't know if I'm going to get clocked for having this on YouTube. So this will have to be a test VOD. So VOD watchers, I'm so sorry if you get to this point in the VOD and there's just like a really awkward YouTube cut and then it's just me on the big screen being like, yeah, see you all next week. Being a lobbyist seems a quick way to get protesters arrested, cuffs for cash, right? That's it. That's just it. That's what's going on, obviously. Also, hi, Dave Jens. Welcome back. Yeah, it's clearly that, right? It's clearly that. The Zionist lobby is saying, you need to crack down on these protesters. So, this is something that I found the other week. It's going to really piss everybody off. So let's all get ready, get your hazmats on. We're going to enjoy this content as much as we can enjoy it, in that we're going to yell at these pricks for being horrible landlords. You'll notice that the title here is Nightmare Tenants. And I wonder, chat, just how nightmare tenants they actually are. Are they actually going to be nightmare tenants, or is it going to be to do with the landlords and how evil they are and how insane they are? I guess we'll just have to wait and find out, won't we? Father Jack moment there, yeah. It's fucking horrible. Fucking evil fascist scumbag. What is that? Enforcement team. I know for a fact that this guy is going to be from that evil website. Whoa, what are they called? Oh, they're like private bailiffs. And they're like, we specialize in removing travelers from our, from where they live. Private tenant. No, not private bailiff. service. Not in what's in Suva? What are you talking about? In Suva? Why did it auto-complete that? What are you on about? ukbailiffs.co.uk, find a bailiff. I mean, there's so many of these, but there's like a main one. Do you know what I'm on about, chat? There's like a main one that do the high court evictions all the time, and I can't remember what their fucking name is. But they boast on their website. They're like, yeah, we ethnically cleanse travelers from where they live. That this guy looking like this is not a bad landlord. Even if you have some kind of like problem with getting your with your head around the fact that there's no such thing as a good landlord. Even if you think that there is good landlords out there in the world, yeah. Parked across 3 spaces. He's looking like this. This guy is fucking evil. Paul Champliner. Oh my god. Landlord action. In the legal field, helping landlords and letting agents with problem tenants. Oh my god. Oh my god. So is he gonna, okay, let's see what he's gonna do. The
tenant took total advantage of him.
Yeah, that's right. It's the tenant that takes advantage of the landlord, not the other way around.
Moved in. This is what happens when you try and help people out. It comes back and bites you, really, so.
It's good already, isn't it, chat? It's already good. Everyone's already feeling really good about this guy and how... Right, so they've come at like 5 in the morning. You know, it's crazy. There is every chance that this guy might have like tried to message her or whatever, or speak to her or something like that, and she's not responded or whatever. Fair enough, but you know, at the same time, what the fuck can you expect when you commodify housing? Yeah, this kind of thing just will happen. Maybe just don't do it. It is an intimidation tactic, yeah. How does the landlord not collect rent for 6 years? So, what I found in my time in Great Manchester Tenants Union is that there are still some landlords who use what's called a rent book and get their tenants to pay them in cash. Why do you think that is, chat? It's in breach of the guidelines. Bailiffs and landlords are not supposed to call at unsociable times or without notice. That's correct, yeah. That's correct. And I don't know who this guy is that is serving a notice. It won't be a legal notice. That's right, tax. Yeah, the rent book can vanish every now and then. So maybe this guy was trying to do a rent book deal with this person. A lot of landlords do it. I was surprised that this still happens because most landlords, you do a fucking standing order in it. That's the standard procedure nowadays. That's what I'm doing. But some of them just do it because obviously it means that it's not getting registered anywhere and they can do whatever they want. The rent book can disappear.
Say she's been served.
I mean, that means nothing. She's been served. That means nothing. Like, what is this? Does this guy think we live
astronomically?
I mean, okay. So, putting my member solidarity hat on, legally in a civil court. By the way, it's not illegal per se in terms of the landlord can go to prison. It means that the landlord cannot do certain things. However, there is such a thing as a verbal tenancy agreement. That is something that exists, unfortunately, in civil law and in disputes with landlords and stuff. If a landlord has said to you, I'm gonna let you live in this property and you're gonna pay me X amount of rent per month, then that does count as a tenancy agreement. Unfortunately, you can always check this stuff. The great thing that I learned when doing member solidarity, you can check all this stuff on Shelter. If you go to Shelter, if you're in the UK, it's really helpful. It just tells you all the stuff that's on there. Also, what's the? I applied for a job there. I can't remember. Fucking hell. It's the place that you go. Citizens Advice website can also give you that. But yes, you're right, Eric. Will have failed to serve the pre-tenancy documents. That's right. They need to be given a rent book. Not a rent book, sorry. I was just talking about that. They need to be given the right to rent book, depending on when this was filmed. Need to be given the energy rating thing, and also gas safety certificate if it's got gas in. Looking at the gaff, it looks like it's an older property that will have gas. So, you know. Oh, Shelter, listen, there's definitely ways that you can criticize Shelter. Shelter is a charity. It's not a union. It's a great resource for the law. I will always recommend tenants unions over charities every single day of the week. Same with any kind of charity. I will always recommend unions over, over charities 1,000%.
The tenant now has 14 days to pay up.
But yeah, unfortunately, the verbal agreement does stand. Verbal agreements aren't worth the paper they're written on. Good one. Yeah, so the verbal agreement will stand. And also, if you go in front of a court, if you go in front of a judge, the way in which judges are instructed to look at tenancy agreements, it's your relationship to your landlord, right? If you live in someone's property, you are their tenant whether you pay them rent or not. That's just the legal sort of clarity that is given if, something like this arises. So unfortunately, she is his tenant. The lack of a tenancy agreement will obviously be looked at and said, well, you should have given her the papers at the time that was appropriate. And also, it looks like you didn't properly do this tenancy. You didn't do like a viewing, and then you just gave her the keys straight away. That's kind of on you. A judge may look at this in a civil court and go, you did just give her the keys though. It's like that Peep Show bit. That's supply and demand. You know what I mean? Why would that happen? Why would you in any way think that has happened?
2 weeks since the notice was served.
Okay, so did he right, okay. This will be a section 21. Right? No, it won't. It will be a section, what's the rent arrears one? It will be a section 8, right? If you're in rent arrears, a landlord will serve you a section 8 if it is more than, I think it's 1.5 months rent. If it's more than 2 months rent, I believe. I could be wrong about this. Yeah, you're right, Elron. It's a section 8. More than 2 months rent in arrears, you'll get served a section 8. That gives the landlord a 2-week time period. It gives you a 2-week time period to get out. You can resist an eviction still, because it will still be at the county court stage. And you've had several 11s and 8s. Hell yeah, let's go. Oh, several 21s and 8s. I think so many of us have had 21s, right? A section 21 just like happens. Even if you get to the end of your tenancy agreement, your fucking landlord will just be like, right, section 21. Yeah, Min. Yeah, great. Yeah, fucking good, dude. Thanks for the option. Yeah, thanks for thinking about it. Oh, it's always bollocks. It's a no fault eviction. It's like, oh, just leave, just get out of my property. But yeah, the section 8. They will give you 2 weeks to get out. You can resist it because it's a county court eviction. You don't have to open the door to him. Landlords will break the law and try and enter the property illegally. They will try and break in. That is illegal if they do that. If you have the support of a tenants union, they can film them doing that, or they can stand in front of the door and stop bailiffs from trying to do that, or from landlords from doing that. That was the basis of our eviction resistances that we did with the tenants union literally every single time, and it works every single time. And in section 8, they need evidence grounds. I've yet to see anyone do that. Right. So yeah, then what do you think is the right way to handle this dude? He's not going to come to the correct scenario here, right? If you're a landlord it means that you don't do anything. You don't have a job. This is the majority of your job. Landlords don't do fucking anything. They don't even do the maintenance of the properties that they own, that they rent out. Most of the time, they subcontract the work. And I don't know if it would be called subcontracting. You know what I mean? They get builders in to do it. They get contractors in to do it. If you have that much time, why would you not? And you actually care about this. But this guy said that he cared about this person, so he wanted to let her a property and give her a bit of leeway or whatever. I don't know what's happened here. And also, we don't know any of the history between this tenant and her landlord. He might have been a creep. He's like, oh, this woman is homeless. I'm going to take pity on her for sex. Right? We don't know what could have happened. I remember asking a previous landlord if he wanted to pay me for property maintenance. He looked at me as if I was from another planet. Yeah, because they just think like that shit is actually in the law that they have to do that. You know, this is the crazy shit. I lived in shared housing and we evicted our landlord once. He was subletting and we got in touch with the owner. Oh, that's fucking great. A rent-to-rent landlord? Yeah, fuck. Hyperparasite? Yeah, I love hyperparasites. They're really cool. I'm going to be talking about them in my new video, Bastard Landlord Influencers 2. Going to be talking about that when that comes out in a couple of weeks. So, yeah, look forward to that. Please follow my YouTube channels. You will enjoy them, I promise. And I have a new stream edit coming out tomorrow on the Mehdi Hassan debate Jubilee thing. So if you want to see my takes on that, they're good takes, I promise. Go ahead and check that out. Leave me a like and a comment on the video. Help it in the algorithm before it's out. Do you know what I mean? It'll be out at 6 p.m. tomorrow, but if you like it now, it'll go pow. Anyway. What you on about? No option? Oh, it was 35 grand, right? Sorry. What are you talking about? No other option. There are literally so many other options. Should we crunch the numbers like how long was she living there with her broken back that he's fucking ignored? Right. Exactly. Isn't it funny that we're not hearing anything else from the tenant other than when she's super mad, when he turns up at an unreasonable hour, which they've done twice now, by the way. Turning up at the morning, probably turning up without notice as well. And the editors, the producers of this show were probably like, yeah, just go in it. Let's just go now. It's 1 a.m. Let's just go now. You know, intimidating her and that. Yeah, treating her like a human being is a good option. Like, it can't be understated that these people just want to act like the Sheriff of Nottingham, innit? Give me my taxes. Taxes now. Tax for existing. You're in my gaff, give me money. Like, bro, I swear to God. I inherited this from my extremely rich dad who used to, whip his workers in his factory. And we are... the locks have been changed, so we can't get in. I don't know, man. Maybe like speak to your tenants. You've got to be a real piece of shit landlord to actually have lord in your name. Well, this guy's even worse because he's just a letting agent. He doesn't actually own the gaff. Tenants claim, but the landlord is always right. Yeah, it's just top content in it. It's great. My dad's an electrician. If he saw that fuse box, he'd be furious. Yeah, I mean, look at the state of it. That's a good point, right? Let's have a look at it. What is fucking going on here? It looks pretty fucking bad. Anyway.
Into the meeting. And the man's...
Don't look safe, does it? I've lived in this flat for 11.5 years, paid more in rent than the landlord paid to buy it. The wank sock tells me 800 quid to get the living room walls skimmed is too expensive. Yeah, fuck landlords. Fuck them. Even landlords, this is the thing, like you've had the benefit of being able to live in a gaff for 11 years, and I'm in a similar boat. I've lived in this place for like 14 years. And, you know, it's like, that's a really good benefit. And you would be like, oh yeah, I've got a good landlord in it because I don't have to, you know, I don't actually have to do anything. But again, like you said, we could have owned these gaffs by now, right? And there will always be something where you just can't get it sorted and the landlord refuses to do something. I've got damp in my bedroom. I've got black mold. I've had to clear all of it myself. I've got, I literally just changed my curtains, you know. Anyway, this guy claiming to have fixed it. It could trip again. Fucking face. I hate him so much. In what way? AinsworthLordEstates.com? No, get out of town. It's not called that. Oh my god. 20 plus years in business. 25 property for rent using that criteria. What are you on about? .com. You did say .com. Let's just literally try and find the website. Property shop. Home. God, they're still about, aren't they? Wait, Darwin branch? They've got next branches in other places. Barnoldswick and Accrington. You know, Accrington is one of the most deprived towns in the north. It's horrible, like, when companies like this operate in some of the most deprived places in the UK, it just makes me so sick. Landlords, now is the time to join Property Shop. Property Shop, Accrington Cricket Club, new deal. Swear to God, man. Let's have a look at the lettings. $1,500 a month. Regular gaff here, $1,500 a month in fucking Accrington. This is crazy, dude. I mean, you know, if these gaffs were in Manchester, it might be remotely reasonable to rent a 2 up, 2 down at £900 a month. You know what I mean? But up in fucking Accrington, it's like a joke. A fucking absolute joke. And you know, people living in Manchester have to move out to places like this in order to be able to afford rent. It's just crazy. I mean, it's going down quite a fair bit now, which is pretty good, but you've got to imagine what the state of the gaffs are like, you know what I mean? Always with the ex-council houses, yeah. Parasites. Can I send you some links on Twitter about this guy's agency? Yeah, do it. How do I get you There you go. Series. Nightmare Tenants Slum Landlords. Hey, Emmy, how you doing? Welcome in. Yeah, we're doing, oh, it's from this is from 2015? It was going on until 2020. A Channel 5 classic. Mental. 14 days bottom surgery? Hell yeah, queen. Good for you. It's pretty poggers. How to get rid of a nightmare tenant? I don't know, stop being a landlord. Just stop being a landlord. Is there like a Wikipedia page on this or something? Darwin estate agent becomes a vandal target after Channel 5 show. That's so good. Someone drew the words "con man" with black spray paint on the windows at Ainsworth Lord Estates in Darwin on Sunday. The vandalism came as Paul Ainsworth Lord appeared on Channel 5 show Evicted. Nightmare tenants slum landlords with a 90-year-old man called Alan, who was duped into becoming guarantor for his son who refused to pay rent, leaving the elderly man to pay £3,500 in installments over a year. Following the episodes airing last week, Mr. Ainsworth Lord set up a GoFundMe page to help the elderly man reclaim some of the money he's lost, but the good intentions were lost to many people who claimed it was not the first time the firm had allowed anyone to become guarantors for others in this way. Brilliant. This is so good. We had the paint off in no time, and I think it's obviously someone who we have had or we're having problems with. It doesn't faze it at all in this industry. You always get these people who will do things to you. What does that say to you, dude? What does that say to you about this industry? Ainsworth Lord Estates in Darwin closed by bailiffs. Oh, yes, this is great. This is so good. An estate agent in Darwin, which appeared on Channel 5's Nightmare Tenants, is being closed after being visited by bailiffs. This is so good. Commercial rent bailiffs limited paying the rent at the fucking office. Limited placed a secured goods notice on Ainsworth Lord Estates in Darwin on Wednesday, January 31st. Albanian D shared a photo of the notice to Facebook. It states that goods have been secured under the Taking Control of Goods Regulations 2013. Type the guy's name into Google and found these. This is so good. Oh, this is fucking brilliant. Oh, yes. In a statement on Facebook, Ainsworth Lord Estate said this is due to a dispute involving a large utility bill on a property it manages. According to the company, the bills were put in the company's name by a tenant. The office... This is funny if it's true, but it's probably not, right? They're probably just lying. But even if it is true, it's extremely funny that someone did that. The business has assured tenants and clients that this will not impact them. It's business as usual. In a statement issued by Ainsworth Lord Estates, a spokesperson said, due to a dispute with a large utility bill on a large commercial property we manage, the bills were put in our name by the tenant. This has resulted in us having to dispute with the enforcement officers who came to collect payment, but due to the time of day, we just weren't able to satisfy their inquiries. Damn, that's crazy, dude. That's mental. It's mental that that's a horrible thing to happen, but you do it to your fucking tenants all the time. All the fucking time. Alright, chat, listen. I started the stream a little late today, and it's midnight. Let's end on a high note with the landlord brain rot for now. And we will resume this tomorrow. Yeah, they turned up out of hours, didn't they? They sure did. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Really appreciate all the support today. It's been very, very good. Don't forget, chat. Yeah, don't forget. Tomorrow, before the stream, I will be premiering my new video that's on my second channel, the Twitch Clips channel. It's about Mehdi Hassan's debate with 20 fascists. Head over to the link right now. Give us a like. Give us a comment. Yeah, already got 13 likes on it. Thank you very much, everybody who's done that. Give me a bunch of comments. Help boost it in the algorithm before it goes live. And join me for the premiere as well. And that will help it in the algorithm, won't it? And that'll be really good for everybody because that will boost the awareness of the stream and more people will stop by and hang out and have a fun time with all of us, as we all do all the time anyway. So make sure you do that. Join me for that tomorrow. Don't forget to support me on my socials. You can check out all my socials over there at the link tree. We're going to go and raid somebody now Who are we gonna raid? Who's live? Yeah, it's gotta be Rhizome. Rhizome is looking into some of the fascist creators from that Jubilee video that we checked out. Unfortunately, Oxpecker, I'm banned from Peacefire's chat, and I don't know why. And I submitted a request just to find out why, and I got denied. So I don't know why that is. Please don't bother them about it. They obviously have their reasons. I don't want to encourage anyone to harass anyone or anything like that, but I'm banned in that person's chat. I don't know why.
Hello, my old chum.
So, there you go. But anyway, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Thank you for all the follows today. It's been really, really, really cool. Really appreciate all the support. We're going to go support someone else right now as well. Copy and paste the raid command. If you're a sub, use the first one. If you're not, use the second. I'll be back tomorrow, like I said. Join me for the premiere at 6 p.m. And then later on the stream will start at 7 p.m. We'll be covering some more Landlord Brain Rot. And we'll finish on that. And we'll finish on some other nice stuff as well. Some candy for you all for dealing with the horrific horrors that we've been dealing with on the stream in the last week. Yeah, that's bad timing, one who reads, but also I wouldn't be live at this time normally anyway. I just had a late stream today. But yeah, I will see you all tomorrow. Thanks for all the support. Thank you for all the donos. Thank you for all the subs. Thank you for all the raids. Thank you for all the follows. Thank you for everything. It's been really, really cool. I'll see you tomorrow. Stay excellent to each other. Mwah! Peace.